It's EMEA Open Division Day 5. Welcome back to Open Division, brought to you by Reflash Productions and Monkey Bubble Productions. I'm Time to Light. That right there is Twin Salty. And Jesse, it's a new weekend of Open Division action. We have 4 different teams, all who have qualified already for contenders, yet are still playing for those seeds.
Yeah, they got the big win of this with the new format. Yes, you're already locked into contenders, but there's still some prize money to play for. There's some seeding to play for. So still a lot for these teams to try and play out these last 2 weeks. As you know, yeah, as you said, locked into contenders, but still trying to make their way through that bracket. And both these teams in that losers bracket right now, one's going to move on to round 8, in round 9, I should say. One of them is going to be going home.
Yeah, well, going home is more of an oxymoron in this
Yeah.
situation. They are going home, but only until Contender starts up, and then they're moving on to Contenders, considering the fact they've already made it to the top 32. They're in a good position. Both of these squads, regardless of their win today, will move on. That's the most important part about this, but as Jesse said, they're playing for money and they're playing for seeding heading into contenders in this following season. Now, that's the most important part about this. I think the seeding part. That's a personal opinion. But let's take a look at where we're heading to start things off today. Of course, maps exist. Our first map will be Nepal.
I think this may be the most interesting map out of all the control maps. Maybe Lijiang is the only other one in my opinion, but you're going to see a variety of comps when you go into Nepal. Depending on if you go into Shrine, Sanctum, or Village, you're going to see a variety of different looks. So I'm curious to see what each of these teams have up their sleeves. As AOT, they're just coming down from the upper bracket, lost to Team Peps in the previous round of the upper bracket. And Frog, they won 2 in the upper bracket, then lost, then they won another 2 in the lower bracket. So they've at least had a little bit more steam entering this. So I'm leaning towards Frog, but I'm honestly not sure what these teams, because Frog is the 12 seed, AOT is the 22. They're pretty close teams in that regard, so I can't wait to see who comes out on top.
Now, when I make predictions, I do this thing called not making predictions because then I can't be incorrect. The winners here are going to be me, you, and everybody watching for obvious
Yes.
reasons. That's the default response because I'm not going to lie to you. I've done the research on these teams. I've looked at your research on these teams, and there is
I
no
was about
way
to
to
say.
discern who's going to come out on top of this. I did some research. All right. Yes,
You
I
did
looked at most
some.
of your notes. Yes, I looked at most of your notes. Jesse's awesome, by the way. He gives me all his notes when he looks up a lot of these teams. But Frog are coming into this, like you said, with a little bit of momentum. AOT, yeah, they're in a good spot. Yeah, their seeds are right next to each other, but there's no way to say confidently, yes, one squad is going to beat the other, especially considering it is loser picks in terms of map selection. You saw on our map band graphic, there is only Nepal as our, what's the word I'm looking for?
Starting map.
Specific map. There you go. Yeah, that's basically what you're going with. Everything else, if you lose a map, you pick the next.
Yep. Hey, you gotta give us a little bit of credit here, guys. This is, NA production casting EMEA. You gotta love a little bit of variety up in here. But as you look at the teams now, and right now we're looking at AOT going for that little bit of a chaos comp with the FAR, which is gonna be a little bit interesting, just with this being the inside map of Nepal. Frog going with that basic brawl with the Ryan, and the Diva are gonna be teleporting out a spawn from Fake Jake. And will AOT be able to cause enough disruption in the backline to disrupt the Frog push?
The question also remains, does Paulie get enough efficacy out of this Pharah? You said it's an enclosed space, the only enclosed map on, or the only enclosed site on this map. It's not a position you want to bring the Pharah in, but the ceiling on this map is much higher than you'd honestly expect looking at it at face value. So Paulie can still distance himself from the rest of the squad and is looking to gain some control. In goes the entirety of Frog on towards point as it unlocks, and they will cap first. Good opening from them, but they still have to win this fight. And with the opening going on to Mercy, playing the Mercy no less, it's not a good position for AOT team to be in, and that just compounds as they lose both supports and in tandem lose the fight.
Big pick there from Gas as they take out the Mercy, trying to pocket Paulie, and that just allows everything to converge in. And so far, the Pharah just not doing a lot, honestly. Even with no direct counters, no hit scans on the board, Frog's able to shut the Pharah down, and you're wondering now for AOT if they'll be changing anything up, as this Symmetra as well with the turrets going to be putting out a lot of damage, even though they do not have a shield to try and regen that ammo. But Frog still in a very powerful position as AOT so far not going to make any changes.
I like the proactivity out of Frog. The question now remains, is it there for AOT team to turn that back? Pauly from behind trying to land some of these rockets and build up the ult charge, possibly build up that barrage, is being damage boosted in the backline and is trying to find these frags, but the Mercy being sent off the map is able to flutter up. Can she stay alive? I don't think so. I don't know where the heck she went, as a matter of fact. Mercy somehow still on the board, yet invisible to us, even though we have X-ray vision. I don't think that matters, at least not for the time being. Frog does build up a lot of these ultimates. Pulse Bomb misses somehow, some way, but Fake Jake has the barrier available should they choose to use it, and in this situation, they may not even have to. With the Diva Bomb going through, it finds absolutely nothing, and yes, they do throw in the Cosmic Divide, or not the Cosmic Divide, this isn't Valor, but they still commit the wall.
Yeah, they put out the photon barrier and able to save themselves. Maybe not needed, but overall, still some ults going through, and so far, AOT still absolutely no answers for this hold.
They need more out of it as well. Good sound barrier thrown through, but Oi getting two now with those mines. Looking for more with help from Mayo is the rest of the Frog squad that's still alive, and they're already up to 99%. It's been over a minute of this capture, almost a minute and 40 seconds at that, and Pauly somehow still alive up in the air, being pocketed by Mercy, and using the Valkyrie will keep them alive at least for the time being. Again, trying to build up this barrage, a good shatter, but it doesn't find as much as you'd expect, only dropping one, but Maximum in tandem is dropped where they stand. Pauly will fall as well, and with that, I think the round in and of itself should be over. AOI is the only one left alive. They're hacked, and they're now dead. Overtime will dissipate, as will AOT's chances as Frog take the first point.
The Pharah just never worked, as Frog smartly hide inside, behind point, away from the Pharah, so they know it's either they're going to come from behind us, and they know exactly what to do at that point in time with the turrets to trigger the Pharah flanking, or they can just hide in there. Like, the Pharah did absolutely nothing. Yes, the Tracer can poke a little bit, the Pharah can poke, but there's no actual damage that is being done because everybody's just being healed up in that room with the orb just being able to bounce around from Moira. So Frog just able to hold the line and put themselves in a great position on Nepal. And now for AOT, yes, you're no matter what going to be going to a round that maybe favors it a little bit more, but Village is still a site on Nepal that heavily favors the Mei play from Nizay, and we didn't see it as much last round, but it could make a huge difference with these tight corridors this time around.
Being AOT back on the Pharah. You talked about it a little bit, I'm going to readdress it. Considering the fact that you have more open space, yet the point itself is enclosed, making Pharah's job exponentially more difficult, if not infinitely more difficult. Trying to gain some ground around the side, the point opens up, and Frog are looking to capture already. AOI sending himself in, uses a pile driver, and does get a lot of shields over top of it, but is immediately frozen, and now down. AOT team again losing the opening fight. It's Frog finding the opening point capture as well for the second round in a row, not boding well for AOT team early on.
It really isn't. As you said, they can just hide on point, very similar to earlier. Yes, Fake Jake is on the Cassidy to try and at least put some pressure onto the Pharmacy combos, as well as MYO, who had actually was able to get the Mercy the first time around. But AOT, they just can't play their game right now. They're not able to split up anybody from Frog, and they're kind of befuddled on what they even should do at this point. Maybe just going to try and build up this barrage and get grass out of back.
Barrage already up to 80%, a good start, and they actually do take out Fake on the Cassidy, but they need to find more out of it. There's the barrage, there's one, there's two, there's a third. They demech gas just the same. This is a falling apart and collapsing defense for Frog. Yes, they will get up to 50%. A good block from the Mei, somehow staying alive for an extra 5 or so seconds, but AOT, just like Thanos, are inevitable.
Okay. They very smartly, they throw the pulse bomb in. Yes, it gets rid of immortality field. It also gets gas out of mech. Makes them use the self-destruct to get back in mech, but Pauly knows there's that half second to a second to where gas is going to jump back in the mech where they're going to be vulnerable. That's when they go in. That's when they use barrage to get 3, and they can own the point for the first time today. And now the issue for Frog is, alright, you can't just hide under point anymore. You are going to actually have to go out and create some space.
Oh, a good hack. Oh, down goes Paulie. An outstanding hack coming through from Neze on the back line. And you'll see Frog try and create so much space. Mercy will get the res, considering the sound barrier dedicated. But no, they're hacked as well. Paulie doesn't get res, but it will not matter. A double pulse bomb coming through. Ultimates are just better on the AOT side. And you can see Tex is just gaining so much control you otherwise wouldn't have if you weren't this Tracer. The teleportation's in a circle, playing ring around the Rosie with the Frog attack, and coming out on top of it, AOT continue to hold, and they surpass Frog.
They now 61% and counting, and the hacks we thought were big, but that pulse bomb even bigger is now Frog making the way all the way around, being a little bit faster this time.
Amplification Matrix dedicated. They will try and fully send themselves in, but Paulie has built up yet another barrage. In goes the Diva Bomb. It will explode and only find Rursi, but that means there's no pocket for Paulie trying to play Airborne. They still have the barrage available, but should they stay alive long enough to use it, they'll still be in an awkward position to try and gain anything out of it. Frog, in the meantime, have turned the point back, and AOT have disengaged just a little bit, trying to find as much ground with as little players as they have.
Is now just going to slowly poke away at that point, try and draw somebody out. MYO, though, able to find Paulie before they're even able to make it there. And I think it's just going to be a reset for AOT, but you don't have a lot of time. It's going to be 85% and counting on that point. You cannot wait forever. And this EMP from Dizay going to be just waiting for anybody from AOT to try and touch that point to maybe cancel out that sound barrier from Alive that is ever so close to being complete.
Final few seconds. They don't even touch.
What?
They don't touch.
Oh my god.
I don't know how much I can stress this. Touch the point when you're facing the final 3 percentage points of any type of map, especially Control, considering the fact that you have to be able to touch within the final 3 seconds to even force OT, much less be able to touch yourself in OT. Nice play coming through from Tex. There's a first 2 kills, and they should be able to dash in for the third on clip as well. Yes, they will. Nice, strong play. Well done. Touch the point, kids.
Yep. Well, that's a start to Open Division Day 5. What a start. Because honestly, AOT team looked alright on Village. They looked way better than they did on round 1. The Pharah was working a little bit. Tex was doing actually quite well in Tracer when we didn't even acknowledge them once round 1 just because they got completely shut down. And then nobody touches. And that was the worry that they had when they have such a late fight. The fight ends at about roughly 83, 85%. You don't have enough time to fully reset and push in as a unit. You need somebody to at least stall a little bit. They had 5 ultimates on board. They almost had all 6. And none of them get to be used because nobody communicated that they couldn't touch the point, or they never talked about who was going to touch the point. It seemed like it was going to be Paulie for a bit because they were up, looking above point, but they just didn't touch in time, and that is maybe a mistake that's going to haunt AOT for a while as it gives Frog the first map win.
It was a very strong first point. I'll give it to Frog every day of the week. The second point, that was a little bit of a gift in a couple of those situations, giving away some kills and some eliminations that you probably wouldn't expect to see. Paulie maybe overextending without the Rursi pocket. You're seeing a lot of overaggression from the tank line as well, without a lot of help from the supports. When you have a Mercy and Lucio combination, usually the Mercy's pocketing a single person, maybe 2 on a good day. Other than that, Lucio just has that passive healing, and that's not your main heal that you need. They did not bring a Baptiste, which was the main efficacy point on the Frog side. They were extremely good at creating space using the amplification matrix to amplify damage and healing alongside the immortality field to keep the team alive for as long as humanly, or in his case, inhumanly possible. But I have some notes for you and some fun facts. We have a new map for you, our second map, as I snap my fingers and we move on. Rialto is where we will head for Escort.
They are banking extremely heavy on the fact they can try to run Pharmacy on Rialto, but honestly, I can't blame them because if that is where they want to put all their chips in, then they're at least going for it. You know, they could have went Junkertown, they could have maybe went Watchpoint or Route 66, but I do feel Rialto is probably one of the better maps, and it's not historically great for Rush. You can run the Rush on this map, but it's more of either, you know, the Chaos comp, maybe some double shield if both teams want to, or more, I guess, heavily favored on the defensive side, but you can get away with it on the offense as well. But I do think this is a decent opportunity for AOT to try and be like, all right, it was a weird ending to map 1, but you just gotta pick yourselves up at this point, as there's no room for error. As we said earlier, lower bracket, if you lose, you're done, and you get to go to your kitchen and, eat yourself a meal in sorrow. So, that's about the closest to going home you're gonna get. So, AOT, you just gotta figure something out, and I wonder if we are gonna see a different look from them. As yes, the Chaos Comp can work on this. I want to see something different, even if it is just an Ana instead of the Lucio, because then you have the anti-nades to try and
Yeah.
encourage those engagements even more, or the sleeps to try and defend yourself. Because sometimes Alive just ran at, and yes, you have speed, but speed can only do so much when you're getting froze by a Mei. So I want to see them maybe try something else for Frog. Just keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, you need to maybe have a little bit more of a better Pharah counter, or maybe a better counter to Tex, because Tex was kind of running rampant on Nepal Village. But I do believe that there's still a wide variety of options for Frog, and when AOT, they've kind of pigeonholed themselves, at least in map 1, to this Chaos Pharah.
I was talking about that lack of a secondary support that was really extremely assisting everybody. Yes, I was talking about the passive Lucio heals. They're okay. But when you take a look at the Ana, like you were talking about, it also allows your team to take more aggressive engagements, regardless of the sleeps or the anti/DNA nades, or what's the word I'm looking for? You know this, the nades,
Bionades.
anti-nades, bionades, thank you. I was thinking
Yes.
DNA. I had it in my head. You get the general idea. But you're looking into this map and you have to see something different from AOT. Now, I would really hope
Oh,
there's something different on the defensive side, and they will bring the Ana, but I am not a fan of Pauly on the Mercy on the defense. On the attack, I think it's extremely good, but Keo and Fake Jake are both counters to the Mercy Pharah combo specifically. You have the Widowmaker to try and knock you out of midair, look for skeet shooting from them, and Fake Jake can just get up right in your face, throw a couple nades at you, and bang, you're dead.
I do like, though, that Alive is on the Ana. Maximum also swapping over to the Sigma to at least give a little bit of shielding to their backline, as nice little bubble early on from Raja, as they're able to protect their team for a second. Now Keo going to be overlooking, trying to figure out where this far is. And Frog is going to go the double shield look with the BAP and the Mercy. The Mercy's a little bit of a... Never mind, Mercy's not going to be a weird pick because Fake Jake's back onto the Echo. So Grease is going to be sticking with Fake Jake in the air for the most part. And more changes coming out from Frog. Still trying to figure out exactly what they want to run, with Gas going back over to the Diva, presumably to help out with countering Pauly.
The adaptation is there for the attacking side. I like it. And you see Keo attempting to directly counter Pauly. Look how much ground they've gained already through the first choke, trying to make it through that second and create a lot of space for themselves into the courtyard. But you have to find an opening duel and an opening pick in order to create your space, and they just haven't done that yet. Yes, you have the heroes to do so, but you have to be able to convert off of that and find the kills. Pauly down to 80 HP, still dropping even lower. They still have the Mercy pocket to help them and keep them much higher than honestly you'd expect. And Fake Jake is just continually pounding them down, but not finding the kills. That's the issue, and the nades don't land. The opener does go the way of Frog, though, and that's the issue you're going to continue to see AOT team in. If they do not find these openers, their entire comp will completely dissipate, and that's exactly what happens here. They will all fall apart. It's just compounding problems without compounding solutions.
As you said, they just can't win an opening. They can't get an opening pick right now. And again, they're relying too much on Pauly to try and get it. Tex even built up a pulse bomb through that fight, used it, didn't get anything from it. They're going to go over to the Soldier to try and help out Pauly with Fake Jake. But as this cart nears the end of phase 1, honestly, AOT haven't been able to do that much, but almost have this barrage online.
This finds one or two picks, then you're in a good position. Tex swinging around towards a soldier, but in goes the nano. Pauly gets stuck into a certain position using the Holt, is stuck in midair, and they don't use the barrage, utilizing the nano as well. I like the discipline to not overutilize ultimates, especially in situations where you have to elongate your defenses. That is exactly what we've been looking for from AOT, is the discipline, and that's what we've seen. The Valkyrie was used by Roshi to keep the team alive, but they win the fight, so it's useful ultimates from both supports. The question now remains, can they find the same efficacy out of that DPS line?
so far, like, yes, Pauly, as you said, I loved the discipline there. Like, all right, we can get enough value with the nano, and everybody's eyes from Frog were on Pauly. There was no way, if they started that barrage, they were dying within a second. There was no way they were
Oh
going to be
yeah.
able to get too much from that. So smartly, they hold on to it. Now, with Keo, going to be holding this Deadeye to try and find Pauly and or Grease stuck in the air alone. Because honestly, just one of those picks can completely change the fight for Frog.
The final minute here on their attack. They're running out of time. They have to get this first capture point, and they have yet to make many strides to do so. Yes, they got within a few meters, but they've been turned away. The Valkyrie utilized on the attacking side. They have all 6 of their ultimates, the first of which is now utilized, but they have to find efficacy. I've said the word, I'll say it again, out of these ultimates, and in this situation, they have already found the opening pick, which will allow them to gain the ground they're looking for. The amplification matrix alongside the Diva Bomb thrown through, but neither of them find much out of it. The Deadeye will find nothing other than staggering this defense, but Alive peeks out and unnecessarily will die over top of the bridge. That should allow the attacking side to capture first, assuming this defense does not come back into the fight. They get the res off onto Alive, and you'll see the barrage available, but they have to get close range in order to use it, and they're just not going to.
It was there's a huge mistake from Alive, just peeking out the very last second, as you said. That Deadeye didn't look like it was going to get anything from Keo, but just the last second peek from Alive, they're going to get shut down, and all of a sudden AOT just not able to touch, and now Frog can continue moving on, already halfway through second phase, but this is going to be the troublesome area as trying to battle for this high ground and control. Flux is going to be used early to catch out a few, and here comes the barrage.
Finds one, but immediately Pauly dies because Rajan jumped right on top of him and utilized the barrage against them. Reverse friendly fire apparently now exists in Overwatch, and 6 kills now go the way of the defensive side, with Fake Jake dying prior. All of Frog will fall. It won't be a theoretical team kill, but everybody will still die. And AOT team turned what looked like an awful fight for them back immediately in their favor.
It does cost them 4 ultimates, though. You use the Nano that fight, you use the Gravitic Flux, you use the Valk, and your first barrage is... Pauly's had to hold it for so long, and just, honestly, not too many good looks to try and get any value from it. And granted, Fake Jake still holding on to this duplicate. Going to be trying to find maybe the Pharah, honestly, to try and duplicate and try and challenge in the area. The Soldier, who is not honestly going to get too much other than putting pressure on this rotation.
How does Cassie not die? No, somehow Keo dies to the second engagement. I don't know how that one works. Sigma is duplicated by Fake Jake, but already down to 50 HP. Will they even get the grab off? They will. The healing comes through, and the grab finds one across onto Alive. They'll continue to throw themselves in as they also drop the mech of Aoi, and this is just a collapsing defense now as Frog utilize some of their ultimates and find the fight win, along with a lot of real estate on this attacking half.
And they're smooth sailing for right now. The only thing OT's going to have is this self-destruct to create some space. And the Nano, but the bomb's getting sent over. It's going to catch Rarcy. And that is a huge blow to this last second defense. And they may not even touch. No, Tex gets 2.
The Deadeye also available. Can they find the Diva? Yes. And the mech is thrown through. It will explode. It will find absolutely nothing other than real estate gained. Keo has their flash and can push themselves forward, but will immediately turn back on Pauly from behind and Tex from right in front. It's a combination and a pincer maneuver from the defensive side, and every single ultimate that has been saved forward, including now the barrage that can be utilized, should be committed, and in this case now will. They will finally de-mech Gas and kill him. 1 point is all that Frog found, along with 100 meters over top of it. But AOT, a strong second point defense, do not allow Frog to create extra space past what you would expect, and they move themselves forward and allow their attacking side to flourish.
So much better from AOT. So they're playing their tempo now. They were able to play their style of game when Frog, for the most part, on Nepal forced their play style. Kind of way faster, trying to end the fights very quick. This time, AOT, they're trying to elongate these fights. They're trying to make them as long and painful as possible for Frog, draw out the resources, and then try and engage unless you can get an early pick from this pharmacy. And there was a few times there that they did. Tex, the unsung hero so far, just any time that AOT needed a pick, Tex found one. And yes, there's a few times where he maybe went a little over aggressive, like the one time where he just dives into the backline after attack fires. Like, maybe not the greatest idea on paper, but I do think that they're at least feeling themselves a little bit more on this composition with the nades from Alive, stalling out Frog, with the shield as well from Maximum, just able to hold that space and delay just that little bit more. And now Frog going to be pretty much a double shield, but with Gas still on the Diva to try and deal with Pauly and Keo now, who was subbed into this map as their hit scan specialist, going to be over onto that Ashe with the Mercy Pocket, I would assume, to truly try and shut down Pauly, as they just continue to have issues completely shutting down Pauly. But honestly, you need to worry about Tex as well in this Widow. They're looking for heads, and they already found one.
Down goes one. They should be able to get the res off, and they will. Keo right back up and at him, and the second shot not landing. Tex is going to utilize the Widowmaker on this first point to create some space and get a lot of damage, but they'll take even more and fall. There is no res available for them, and that should be Tex switching onto the Soldier as they did on the attacking side, at least what you'd expect. Both DPS now down, though, means the entirety of AOT now has to back away, disengage, and allow the rest of their squad to catch up. There is Tex switching onto the Soldier, and Pauly also makes the change onto the Echo, the attacking side favoring Echo on both occasions, but oh no, Tex dies to the Echo. That's not a good start to a fight. They'll already have to back away, almost certainly.
And Maximum's still on this Roadhog. It's the big question mark they have right now. Okay, AOI is now going to go over to the Sigma a little bit more. It's still kind of like almost like a online ranked comp that we're seeing right now, but so far it's what AOT is going to be running, trying to get some picks, with Maximum knowing that they can't play around Pauly with the Keo and Pharah combo just too strong right now as Bob is near approaching, and so far AOT able to find that pick.
Tex doing some skeet shooting out of mid-air goes Keo, not usually the person you'd see dropping in aerial positions. The Nano is thrown through into Pauly, finding one, and a little bit of help onto the second. This is a collapsing defense now, as Frog, they created space and then immediately have lost it and now create it back again. What are these Uno reverse cards traded between the two squads? AOT are somehow still in this fight, but in the same right, Frog have not completely lost it. The res will come through on attacks to allow a lot of damage back into the fight, but they have to find the kills to allow the full point capture, and I just do not think that's going to happen. They will fully dedicate themselves on the defensive side, and they'll also throw in the tac visor from behind. There is no nano available, considering the fact that they've used it prior, and Alive, no nano at all, considering they're already dead.
No longer alive, indeed, and now Bongos is going to be used as well from Raja, just to make sure that, hey, they're going to back away from this, and now can reset to where they need to be. A little bit of a stagger as well onto Maximum, as now Frog able to reset, as they don't have to use everything, but a lot of ultimates used from both sides, as now also a minute and a half remaining. Not too much time in a very similar situation to what Frog were in on their defense, as Keo gonna be res, but it's putting your Mercy in a very awkward position.
When Pauly's able to get the duplicate on towards the Diva, can they stay alive? No. Pauly will fall, and they do not have the bomb available to try and create any space on the attack. Tex does find the kill back the other way, dropping the Diva in the same right, but as you see Fake Jake immediately switch back, they will fall in the same right. Frog, their defense is not there. They do not have the staying power that they require, and it's just collapsing for them. That will be a full first point capture, a near team kill with regards to that Echo. And AOT create a lot of space for themselves and add an extra 3 minutes on that clock, or an extra 2.5.
It's almost a sense of relief for AOT that they don't have to bank on the pharmacy, as they're just collapsing in. Everybody got the split spawn for Frog. I should say everybody, the majority of Frog got the close spawn. We're trying to back up. AOT smartly moves ahead and able to get a few of those stagger kills. They can gain so much more space now and high ground control, as Frog doesn't have to wait for those deceased members to rejoin them near the end of this second phase. But honestly, the pressure's off. They don't have to worry about banking in on the Pharah. They can just rely on this consistent poke that's getting them so much value.
Amplification Matrix thrown in inside of the Colosseum, trying to create as much space as they can, but there's just no reason to throw that ultimate in an unnecessary situation. A strong sleep across onto Gas will remove them from the fight for a few seconds, but not for long enough. The attacking side is still here. Pauly is nanoed as well. Look at all the damage thrown through. They focus the beam forward and duplicate the D.Va before they kill her. It is an unnecessary ultimate thrown through, but that unnecessary ultimate will win them the game. Probably play of the game thrown through with the Tac Visor as Tex finds 4, and with that, AOT almost certainly find the game unless they're able to touch. They are, but only for the time being. I was talking about it before. Yes, they're able to stick and they're able to touch, but they're not able to stay, considering the fact that the attack is still here. But the Tac Visor on the other side, there's no way they continue to hold this. Fake Cheek gets another D-making maximum. Can they lock down the point? Yes, they can. Frog, that was my conclusion to the map, and they keep it going.
AOT got a little bit too comfortable, I think, at the end. They're thinking, all right, we got it. We just got to get away with these staggers, not knowing that Frog had so many ultimates coming back. And now, yes, they have to do a little bit of a swap. Frog's going to have nothing for ultimates now until OT, except for the self-destruct from Gas that is soon coming. But so will AOT. They used everything. They're thinking, all right, it won't matter. We already won the map, and instead, they're left with just over a minute on the clock with almost nothing on the board for ultimates.
They find that first kill a second and a half later, they win the map. And they move it to a 1-1 scoreline. But sometimes it's a game of inches, and Frog have stayed alive by mere millimeters at this point. AOT still are in this map, but there's just seconds ticking away that they do not have to work with. Ultimates, again, will not be on the board. There is the first one and only dedicated through, and Rursi's the one to fall. There's just 30 seconds now on the clock, and they'll have to back away. They will stagger themselves should they not do so, and jumping off the rest of the map is the entirety of the team. That's exactly what's going to happen. It'll be one last fight to keep themselves alive.
They have to bank on maximum now to touch. There's 20 seconds left. AOI is not even spawned back in yet. As Matrix, okay, that's maybe a little bit premature from Gat and Grease, I should say, trying to catch members off when they're trying to make it to point. But who's going to touch? For AOT.
3 seconds. No way this happens again to AOT. They're not going to touch. They didn't touch.
Maximum died. They called out Maximum was going to be going top left.
You think that's bad? AOY switched from the ball to the D.Va and took time off their own clock. Tex does get play of the game. It was an outstanding play utilizing the Tac Visor. They didn't even have the nano in hands. They just found so much damage thrown through. There's a first, and then they immediately pop the Tac Visor and find 4. There's 1, a second, a third thrown through as the Mercy falls. I don't know how that happens. You should be able to touch every day of the week, yet we see an unnecessary switch from a ball to a D.Va, and they lose the map.
It looked like Maximum was going to try and touch over the little archway towards defender left side where you can go up the stair, but Frog called it out. They knew exactly where Maximum was going to be trying to touch from. I think they got flashed, they got taken out, and they couldn't touch, and that was my worry with them taking that first fight. It was taking so long, and then they got staggered out, and it didn't go well. They didn't have enough time to truly come back and reset themselves the way they needed to, and as you said, it's a game of inches twice now. Both of these maps, it has been inches away that AOT has not been able to finish out these maps. We're going to go to a very quick break. Let AOT try and figure out how to get those few extra inches that are ever so necessary, and we'll be back with map 3.
They say you either win or you learn. In this situation, AOT have done a whole lot of learning. Notably, if you touch the point as time expires, you're able to have OT. They have yet to do so in 2 straight maps. That's the catalyst to their lack of success. They're down 2-0 through both Nepal and Rialto. We head to a third. That would be Hybrid as our third map. I'm Time to Light. That right there is Twin Salty. By the way, welcome back to EMEA Open Division Day number 5. An awkward position for AOT to be in there, Twin.
Yeah, because there's an argument to be made that it could be 2-0 AOT right now. There's a genuine argument to be
At
made.
least 1-1. At least
1-1. We don't know how third round would have went on Nepal, but they should have won Rialto. Like, they had everything in their hands, and it just slipped away. Part of this I blame you, Damp. You cast cursed them. You were already doing your final monologue, and all of a sudden, Frog, they come back. They're able to win the last minute and a half. So I partially blame you for this, but I do think that AOT, as we head to Eichenwald for map number 3, they at least learned one thing. As you said, they're at least learning a lot today, is that they don't need to put all their eggs in the fire basket. They looked so much better when they actually put more resources into Tex onto this soldier, and they allowed the Echo kind of just to free roam, because Tex was very consistent on getting picks and putting in damage. And honestly, it took a long time for Frog to be able to do anything about it. They had to put a lot more focus onto them than they did in the previous map. So I wonder if that is going to be what the plan is going to be on Eichenwald, where again, a lot of long sight lines during Streets phase, very open area for the first 2 phases of this map. And I want to see AOT continue with the Sigma and with the ball, or at least the Sigma, because the Sigma play was exquisite for the most part. The gravitic fluxes, everything was fantastic. It's just the finesse that just isn't there in the final 30 seconds or in the final few meters. And that's the difference between this game, being 2-0 Frog and it being a completely different story.
AOT certainly should at least have 1 map. Again, I apologize for the caster's curse, but they totally should have been able to take out the Tracer early enough. It's unfortunate. I talked about it being just a second and a half of a difference between them winning the map and them now being down 2-0 and facing match and series point. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate what we've said already this broadcast, because it's been a little bit since we talked about it. Both of these teams have already qualified for contenders. That is not what's at stake here. It is both seeding for contenders and a little bit of money over top of it. Now, looking at Tex, you were talking about switching to the Soldier. I love the Soldier switch. You have that hit scan ability, and you have that continued efficacy of the damage. That's the most important part about the Soldier. I think that's the biggest selling point for the specific hero. In this situation, you'll see Tex switch to the Tracer, try and distract the Frog attack, and understandably so. This is Eichenwald. You almost always need a Tracer. But I love the Soldier, notably because I'm a Soldier one-trick. I can't do anything other than play Soldier when I play Overwatch. You and I played like 2 nights ago, and I was atrocious at everything other than Soldier.
Yeah. And 2 important things here. Nizay is subbing back in for Keo, so relying more on that double flex DPS for Frog. And for AOT, Juzo's coming in for Pauly. Pauly is not in for this map 3, but they're still running the Pharah. So you wonder, maybe it's something down the line that they're wanting to try a little bit differently, that maybe Juzo is a little bit more comfortable with. We'll have to wait and see. As AOT, they're also running Hog and Diva on this defense. No shields. I think Frog saw that instantly, and they're going to go over to that 6-man comp, with the only exception being Fake Jake on the Tracer instead of the Reaper.
Nizay behind, cloaked as of right now, trying to gain some ground, and Rajan has gone all the way behind along with the rest of the Frog squad. They're pushing themselves through and creating a lot of space for themselves that you otherwise would not expect. The opener goes the way of AOT, but is immediately traded back the other way by the defensive side. They will create so much space for themselves, and immediately you saw Frog get an opening pick. That's not the case anymore. They are down to just the Winston, the Monkey trying to create as much space as humanly possible. They will only create space inside of a 6-foot grave. They're dead.
Yeah, 6 feet under so far for Raja. As a minute gone, AOT, which is such a wacky comp they're running right now, is working out. They are playing for picks. They're just playing for pure picks and damage, not worrying too much about holding spaces. They allowed Frog to gain so much real estate, but they knew that they had more damage output, that as long as they played it right, they could win the fight.
Juzo subbing in, now has the barrage available. They find the first, looking for the second, should not find it and does not. Now has to back away, but has the support from the entirety of their team, including the support line, down to just the D.Va, trying to stay alive for as long as possible. That should not happen. She may be able to stay alive for a few extra seconds, but this will be a massive stagger, taking more and more time off the clock. That Frog, given the fact that they've lost now both of the opening fights, just cannot afford.
As Gas not even going to be able to get back to spawn, as their body just sits on the stairs. And, game's still going on. Feed went out for us, so we'll talk about it for a second. NA production, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're back. So,
yay.
AOT still looking strong, and Juzo, I will admit, they are way more aggressive with the ultimates and positioning, but it's working.
Oh, and the Nano going through, Juzo trying to create as much space. I was talking about real estate. This is exactly why. Frog can't create the space. They've used the Pulse Bomb. For some reason, you throw in the Primal Rage in a 1v4. I think that was just to get out. Rajon does just that and actually finds a kill across onto AOI, which is a good stagger for the defensive side, but they lost their Tracer, and they should not try to re-engage without her, and understandably so, they'll try and back away. The barrage thrown through, it actually finds one, and damage onto two more. How does that find a kill, much less even past that?
It caught Frog off guard. They're thinking, oh, they're just going to poke. And no, they're going to ult right there to make you even wait even longer to try and push in. As none of these win conditions have worked. Nice eat there from Gas to eat up that Pulse Bomb from Tex. But now, AOT, this is where they're vulnerable. They only have the Valk and the Self-Destruct when this EMP Self-Destruct combo for Frog is in the wings.
Oh, there it goes, but it only finds two. I say only because that's the pharmacy combo. Both complement one another. Fake Jake playing in the backline, trying to take out their doppelganger, and is unsuccessful in doing so. Tex just has the Tracer diff, and AOT are still in this fight. They will have the respawns coming through, and there's only 30 seconds on this clock. They get at least one tick through on this attacking point, but they have to get even past that. The Nano comes through, the my apologies, does come through, as Rajon now down to 300 HP of their possible 500, and is continually being ticked down. The attacking side does not have that staying power and is now gone. 10 seconds on the clock. This will continue to tick away until they either capture or will all fall. It seems to be the latter with the way these fights are going. They will even stagger out the D.Va to add insult to injury. Yes, they will touch as they're only hog hooked on towards the point, but the Tracer's there. That should be it as they continue to lose these picks, and they have the ult disadvantage. It's only the Monkey with the Primal Rage available trying to find as much as humanly possible. They will find very little, if anything at all. Somehow that stick does not come through, but it will not matter. They will continue to stagger, they will continue to touch, but that should be it unless I've caster cursed them again.
I don't think you did this time. Yep, there you go. OT
Yay.
down 57%. What a round for AOT team. That is what we've been waiting for. Part of it is Frog just didn't adapt. Like they stayed on the same zombie comp the entire time, and it just never worked. Like they want these fights to go extremely long. They have the sustain for it with, well, no, we have the Sombra hack in the health packs. You have the Moira with the orbs, the casual healing from Lucio. On paper, it's a very sustain heavy comp. You want to run over the opposition. They tried it. You saw in the very first fight, they tried to run over the Hog. It was like, all right, just take a breather. My backline is destroying your backline at that point in time. And AOT, a very strong defense. I don't think it'll be a few meter difference this time, Dan. I think, I'm knocking on wood, I think AOT have this right now to send us to a map 4. Because they looked so much better. Because they controlled the tempo. Very quick fights. And they got the opening pick so many times, which is something they just couldn't do on Rialto or Nepal. And when they were able to get those, they were actually able to capitalize on those opening picks. Frog is now going to go over to that double shield with the double hit scan look. Grease on the BAP, MYO onto the Zen. AOT may have a little bit of an issue pushing into this. Again, no shield whatsoever. Going to be running the Hog and the D.Va together. So a lot of pressure onto AOI to try and use that defense matrix to get their entire theme through these tight choke points.
We were talking about the zombie comp needing to find elongated fights, but the issue that Frog ran into was the fact that their tanks were not engaging first. It was their DPS falling too early and their supports quickly following. With the lack of overall damage committed and the fact that the healing was off the board, the zombie comp just became a bunch of zombies. They were all dead and became the undead over time. Juzo finding the opener, dropping Grease early. The entirety of the support line is now gone. That could be the game in and of itself over, at least this map. They're going to continue to look for these picks, but with the Pharah continuing to find damage, and now it's just down to the DPS line. That should be it. They should be able to fully capture, and as time continues to tick off the clock to the defensive side, it already has. 3 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock. That's how much time was left for AOT to capture. 57% found in just 45 seconds. That's how immediate Frog were able to drop on the defensive side. They had no staying power. They lost the opening engagement, and immediately past that, they lost their primary healing. The Baptiste off the board, and the defense soon followed as AOT finally put a point up.
They get a point on the board, and again, arguably, this series could be done right now, or it could be 2-1 in favor of AOT, but they have to get the reverse sweep, and right now, the momentum is in their favor. They looked so good there. Throw your DPS in the backline. There is no CC other than the flashbang from the Cassidy to try and defend you, but the Cassidy isn't expecting a Trace to be that far into the backline that quickly. You get the opening picks on his sports. No healing. Everybody else can converge, and AOT get themselves a map win. So now you think, all right, we're going to assault for map 4. Anubis, Hanamura, Volskaya. Finally, Frog got a map pick today. And you would think they want to probably go back to the rush that we saw on Nepal, where they looked very good with the Ryan Zarya, Lucio Bap, everything else. So probably, if I had to guess, probably going to be Volskaya, just because teams are very comfortable.
It's that or Hanamura. There's no way that they picked Anubis.
And
I was about to say there's no way they picked Anubis. They picked Anubis.
Wow. Okay.
There's no shot. I was about to say out loud, there's no way they pick Anubis. Like, you gave me an extra second and a half, but Hippie in my ear, who's our amazing producer, by the way, alongside Kothar, who's observing for the entirety of this event, they're nuts. But I hear Hippie in my ear go, quote, Temple of Anubis. And that was my reaction. I'm sorry, what?
I'm very confused because
yeah, me too. This is gonna go to a fifth map. We're going to a fifth map. We're going to a fifth map. I'm calling it right now.
Prediction? I know you don't like predictions, but is that your prediction?
We're going to a fifth map.
I'm gonna swap place. I ain't predicting this. The way this series is gone, it's my prediction that a C9 is gonna happen. Is that too rude of a prediction? One way or another, there's gonna be some sort of C9 or not touching points. We'll wait and see. I would hope not, but you know, it is open division. We're all a little scuffed around here. So as we kind of just, I can't take this. But I do think it could work. Maybe they're trying to lean into the double shield. That's my only guess. But you are going to allow Zoe, who by the way did phenomenal subbing in, like coming in cold, did a fantastic job on the Pharah. They're not phasing out like my camera's trying to do right now, but they're able to get a lot of value early, and they were way more aggressive, and it worked out time and time again. My question for Frog, do you sub in Kyo as a designated hit scan to try and shut them down with the Ashe Mercy Pocket again? Or are you going to try and put all your eggs into the Nizei basket and think they can do enough and they can be a little bit more flexible?
I mean, considering this is Temple of Anubis, I don't know if we're even going to see a Pharah. Maybe on the attacking
I think
side.
At point A. At point A, maybe?
Point A defense, though, yeah, you can create a lot of space for yourself. I've been talking about real estate all day because it's such a pivotal position in the game of Overwatch. I also want to talk about the height that you can gain. And yes, the Pharah can play the high ground, but if you pick a correct hero, that being the Cassidy or an Ashe or even the Widowmaker, should your shots be good enough, you will immediately be shot out of midair and now null and void on the defensive side. That's the issue that you'd run into should you even want to attempt a Pharah. That does not seem like a call that you want to see AOT bring through. They were very good without bringing the Pharah. Yes, Truzo coming into this mained the Pharah and did a very good job on it. Yes, coming in cold, not something you expect. That pivotal defensive position from the Pharah, no less, on Eichenwald's first point. I was a little surprised, but happily surprised, and it gave AOT their first map. They'll push on to now map 4, which is Temple of Anubis, in an awkward position because they have to both choose a side and choose their composition on said opening side. I'm not going to try and make a prediction on comp, but I don't know if we're going to see Afara. Hey, I called it. Let's
We
go.
will.
Oh, no, I
We
lied.
will
They're on
see
the attack.
Afara.
They're on
Yeah,
the attack.
you're
No,
looking
no,
at
it's
Frog.
Frog's defense. My bad.
Okay,
They switched
so
sides.
Frog does not make a sub, neither does AOT. So it'll be fake Jake on to the Ash. So no Mercy pocket. I think Grease mainly going on to Zay, trying to get them to try and counter Juzo in the air. But AOT again going to run the comp with no shield. This Hog Diva that is so unorthodox that it's just throwing Frog off enough to where they're playing a little bit more scared, playing a little bit less confident in themselves.
Hog Diva was probably the catalyst to their success in the previous map as well. It was a little scary of a composition you had to walk through, but they've already dropped the Hog on the attacking side. On the defense, they do have double shield, which I like to see, but will the Sigma stay alive? Yes, only for a time being. The Bionade thrown through heals them right back up. An extra 100 HP alongside the assistance of your entire support line on the Sigma should keep you alive for a elongated period of time. That's exactly what happens. You're going to see AOT try and poke and create some space for themselves, but it just hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't. That's the worry about not running a shield. Nano's going to go on to Juzo, though, early to try and get something done.
Oh.
And the counter Nano comes out from Nizay and shuts that opportunity down straight away, as it'll be a complete wipe for AOT, as they're just getting punished into the corner, and they're just going to leave AOY by themselves. They do get one courtesy pick at the end, as the res will come through on Nizay. But still, so far for Frog, just excellence on the defense. And now AOT maybe swapping it up a little bit. Alive over to the Zen, off of the Ana. Tex over, well, now they're going back over to the Ana. They can't figure out what they want to do. Tex is going to be on to the Hanzo. I would like to see Maximum go off the Hog. You're not going to get enough off of it, in my opinion. Go on to a Sigma to create some space. Maybe a Winston as well. As, yeah, Anti comes through. They have to back up. And they're just not able to get anything done due to the Frog punish.
My favorite engagement in that previous fight as well is looking at AOT and saying, go to the corner. That's exactly what happened to them. They were put in the corner, put in timeout, and shut down immediately. The replication comes on towards the Diva. They will try and get a mech out and explode that in the backline. A barrage from long range actually finds a kill, and they drop the duplication as well. What is that barrage? How does that even find one, much less 1.5? Kinda two, considering the fact that Nizay is already low, is healed up considering the fact that they have a Mercy pocket, but the attacking side don't create nearly as much space as you'd expect, considering the fact that they found a pick and a half alongside real estate past that. They'll get one tick on the point. Looking for a second, they should be able to get it, but a third is certainly questionable considering the re-engagement coming through from Frog. They'll have the res come through onto their Ash, but all of point A is captured, and they'll look to push towards point B with 4 minutes on the clock, and maybe a staggered out defense as well.
Yeah, they're not set. Frog thought they were going to be able to touch. They are not able to. A little bit of deja vu from the other side of the coin. That time around as they now have to retreat as not able to touch the point in time, even with that pick onto Juzo. And now Tex just going to be poking away. Already gets a pick and forces out the res early. Frog trying to figure out what to even do at this point because they're getting shot from all angles.
Juzo creating a lot of space for themselves. I've been talking about real estate. That's exactly why. The Nano thrown through, they'll find a kill, trying to find more than that, and will. A second thrown through. That may just be the map. Somehow, Nize stays alive, and they'll continue to have the staying power on the defensive side. But AOY throwing through the bomb and will not find anything other than that space created. I sound like a broken record, but for obvious reasons, it's always important to create that space for yourself. And on the attacking side, AOT have done just that. Another kill goes their way, but the Doomfist switch from Nize will get kills back the other way, and Frog somehow come back into this round. The barrage to take out Gas. The Diva is down, but the attacking side has yet to fully capture. They need more, and unfortunately, Frog just cannot touch. AOT will get it, and they'll get both points along with 3 minutes on the clock.
Wow. That's all I gotta say. Just wow. As you gotta think Frog and the Visa right now are probably just like, what do we do? Like, they don't know what to do against this comp right now. As you don't normally run against a Hog Diva, where they're purely outputting damage with the Pharah. You have the Tracer in the backline trying to put some pressure down, trying to make you look other ways so you don't look at the Pharah that's just ruining your entire team from the air. And Frog is being caught with their pants down right now. As now they're on the offense. They theoretically should be able to do something decent here because they've been so flexible today on what they're trying to run, but the flexibility hasn't always worked. Their double shield has looked okay. Their zombie comp didn't work against what AOT have been trying to run. So the question now is, what do you run if you're a Frog? They're going to go this hybrid double shield with the D.Va instead. It appears, or honestly at this point, it's more of like a hybrid rush with the Zay over onto the Sombra and Fake Jake onto the Widow. I believe the Widow will probably just be a very quick swap, but they actually may hold on to it for a little bit longer. We'll have to wait and see. As AOT, they even change it up a little bit. They're going to go a little more of a dive comp, with Juzo still, obviously, with Rarity in the air on the Pharah. But as Fake Jake, just the trigger finger maybe didn't work out in their favor that time around. Had a shot, not able to take it. Now going to go swap over to that Tracer. And now the zombie comp returns for Frog. As, yeah, it'll be Winston D.Va versus Winston D.Va for the first time today.
For all of you wondering what the heck Jesse's talking about when he says zombie comp, it's the fact that they can stay alive for seemingly ever, considering the fact that they have so much healing and HP left over. That's exactly what this Frog attack is looking for. Elongated fights forcing out the HP from the AOT defense. But AOT also have that extended amount of HP you wouldn't normally expect, and the Mercy Pocket across onto Juzo, alongside the Ana herself. This is not something that AOT want to walk into, though, and it's exactly what does happen. The cloak comes through as Fake Jake actually gets away as well, looking for the kill through onto Tex, but the healing station's dropped, and AOY is down. Frog have created so many opportunities for their attack to find kills. That's exactly what they do. Already a first point cap and an extra few minutes added onto the clock. They'll have exponentially more time than AOT did, and Temple of Draw Nubis seems to be living up to its name.
He very much could be going to OT here as Raja gets that pick. The hack goes through. Point A is going to be captured as the double flex DPS run for Frog is working out. Fake Jake now over to the Reaper. Barrage going to be used. Everything's getting thrown in right now. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade with the self-destruct. Getting nothing.
Coalescence actually does find one, but somehow they trade kills. That works, by the way. You can trade kills in Overwatch. The Coalescence finds the kill across onto Juzo, but Juzo had already expended the rockets in towards Mayo's position, who falls directly after. You still see Nize on this Sombra trying to create as much space as they can and find some information as well. While yes, information's underutilized in the game of Overwatch, it's still extremely effective considering the fact that you can also gain it without risking too much of your health. All the EMPs available, should they try and use it, they will. They will EMP both the Mercy and the Pharah, dropping them both almost certainly. Sound barriers committed for this attacking half as well. This should possibly be the map. Down goes the ball. The Hog will just do so much damage. Not even the Hog, I was talking about the D.Va, and she does so much damage. And it's just AOT's defense falling apart. Somehow they're still in this, but they have to find so many kills to bring this fight back.
But they at least have the staggers available, even though these hacks coming through. Maximum not able to get anything done. They instantly get hacked. They get taken out with the focus fire just being so good from Frog. As one by one, the members of AOT are going to fall. The the Death Blossom over top to make sure this round is going to be ending ever so soon. As AOT, they're able to have a great attack, but so far just not able to keep it up on the defensive side.
Just Maximum left over. They are taken away. That should do it. Actually, Sombra comes back into this, but no, that's it. The Barrage was available. AOT are now down. They were able to touch for a longer period of time, take some time off the clock, but time is only of the essence for a certain period of time until the fact where you are taken away. I was talking about the amount of time left over early on. 2 minutes and 50 seconds was remaining for AOT. That's been brought down to 2 o'clock or 2 minutes even. Now on Frog, they have 2 minutes and 40 seconds on their attacking side as they will attack first, just as they did on the second half of the opening part of regulation, I suppose. It's regulation and then OT. But what was
But
that defense? Not
I don't
existent?
know. That EMP, it was designated for a solo EMP onto the pharmacy, but it ends up hitting 5. The only one it does not hit is maximum. So yes, you're able to get that opening pick onto Mercy, but it allows the rest of your team to push in because they don't have to worry about any of the other cooldowns. Oh, you can get grappled, yes, but oh no. Because you know they didn't have Minefield at that point, so you're not super worried about the Wrecking Ball other than them poking around, maybe moving you around a little bit. So it worked out perfectly for Frog, as they will be on the defense first, as you said, 240 on the clock for them, 2 flat for AOTs. They're just going to stick to this Hog Diva comp as Tex and Juzo's been shut down a little bit more this time around. Haven't been able to see them pop off as much. We saw the crazy barrage from Juzo earlier, about where the camera is right now, the long-range barrage that got some value, but you can't bank on the crazy plays when you get to these overtime rounds. As nice little concussion blast, though, going to disrupt the defense a little bit and throw Frog's initial hold off.
Juzo on the Pharah will try and find an opening pick. That's the notion that they're looking for early, but they have to do so quickly. Compared to what we saw on their attacking side, it took them about 2 minutes, give or take, to open up that first kill. At least the first point past that. And this time it's actually Tex to find the opener, but the res immediately comes through, and Fake Jake is trying to take that space and possibly a kill back the other way. It's still a 6v6, but again Mayo falls, and this time there's no res to keep them alive. The Mercy Pocket can only help one person at a time, and this defensive side just cannot afford that. Gas will fall because of it, and that should be the rest of the defensive side falling. AOT will almost certainly be able to concrete themselves a first point, and possibly even push that into a second roll through.
Just a huge pick from Tex. Maybe a late nano and barrage as well to ensure this point is captured. They're not leaving it to chance like they have at times during this series. They will cap. Add 30 seconds back onto the clock. Nice little shot as well from Juzo. And now they can just keep pressing forward. The quick spawns are coming in from Frog, but it won't matter when they're already at your door.
I was talking about rolling that right into a second. Talk about snowballing your attack. There's a first and a second opening pick as well. They cannot stay alive on this defensive side. Juzo continuing to throw in the damage. The missiles do exponentially more than you'd originally expect at face value. And yes, the defensive side will come back into this fight for the time being, but will they be able to stay here and try and lock it through? AOT's attack have been insurmountable to come back from. Jake will duplicate the Diva and try and create at least damage, if not kills. Yes, the Diva Bomb will find one, but will they be able to remech? No. They will fall. AOT will complete the entirety of their attack in 2 minutes and 1 second, considering that extra 30 seconds added on top of it. And Frog's defense almost as non-existent as AOT's in regulation.
And neither team can play defense right now. That's the story so far at Temple of Anubis. Neither team can really hold down point B for more than a minute. As Frog, again, Mayo gets picked off 3 times within 2 minutes by the Hanzo of AOT. That it just can't happen. Your main healing source when you're running afar cannot be exposing themselves to that kind of angles time and time again. And that is honestly the entirety of the reason why Frog's defense just crumbled. As they lose the Ana, you force out the rest. Then you lose the Ana again. All right, they can push in. Late nano from AOT confirms that, and they also get the stagger picks. And then they can continue that momentum as they're nearly touching the point 5 seconds after they captured point A. It was so good from AOT to not only finish, they finished with 30 seconds left. And now the issue for them is going to be they're on this defense. They haven't been able to hold very well. Alive is back onto the Lucio instead of the Ana, which I'm not sure about, to be honest with you. I'm not sure my feelings on that quite yet. As Frog going to be running the rush that we saw at the very beginning of this series, or at least initially. They're going to be going right back to Swan, going back to the zombie comp with Jake on the Tracer instead of the normal Reaper. But overall, so far, well, that's not going to be a great start. Maybe that's the call to swap Jake, because you get a rocket to the face and just everything put to a halt from Frog. And even more swaps coming out now. They don't even know what they want to do quite yet. Now they're going over to the double shield with the Zay over onto the Cassidy, Fake Jake onto the Echo, and all of that extra time they had heading into overtime is completely gone.
off the board, and that's not what they can afford. Fake Jake does make the switch onto the Echo. I think a responsible switch. The Tracer was probably a good argument in the first 4 seconds, and then, well, they fell. Speaking of falling, Juzo's down. Will the Mercy be able to get the res? That's the real question. The focus beam thrown through, and she will not. Mercy is down. AOT's defense should almost certainly follow. A lot of their damage is already off the board, along with half of their healing on the defense. They just do not have that same staying power that really elapsed from Frog. They'll have to back away, and they may even get staggered into the second point. Considering the fact that Frog should be able to fully cap this, but Tech's pushing from behind, I don't know if they'll be able to contest. They will indeed. Everything now being thrown through for the defensive side. The Immortality field is dedicated, and it should find a decent bit of efficacy, but I don't think that's enough. The defense, not there. It does come back into it. Yes, you find a little bit of staggers. Yes, you find time off the clock, but actually the barrage, it finds it. I've Caster's Cursed it again.
You've done this twice today, and all of a sudden, AOT, they're on the way back. MIO gets a pick off, though. Grease and MIO.
No way.
Now both fall. AOT stabilizes, and now you got 45 seconds left to send us to a map 5. AOT, are you going to do it? Frog, though, didn't have to use a lot that fight ultimate-wise. Yes, they had used the amplification matrix from their Baptiste, but they're going to have both DPS ults, as well as at least the bongos coming in from Raja. As now, AOT just going to have to sit back a little bit. They cannot suffer an early casualty, and that's exactly what happens.
Oh, the duplication on towards the D.Va as well, trying to throw in the bomb, create as much space and chaos on this defense as humanly possible. In goes the bomb, it finds one. That should be the defense gone, but I've talked about it before. I may have Caster's Cursed it again. This time, I don't think that's the case, considering the lack of a defense here. Battle Mercy's going to come through. The Far trying to escape this, and they may be able to come back in this. The D.Va bomb on the defensive side, that takes them all out. Overtime's now on the clock. Will they be able to touch? Yes, Mayo does, but only for the time being. All that's left is this Tracer trying to stay as long as humanly possible. She will not. That is it. AOT are going to force a 5th map. They have brought it back from the jaws of defeat back on Eichenwald. They thought it was over, especially after that first fight, but they were able to bring things back. They were able to re-engage when I didn't even think they would, and they're forcing us onto a final control.
They show why these last-second defenses sometimes can be so crucial, because all the momentum went back into their favor, and a lot of it, at least in the overtime push, went to this man right here. Tex, shot after shot. You see the two right there. They killed the Ana for the 3rd time that push alone. Seconds after that, last second of the clip. We're going to map 5. Map 5, Open Division, Day 5 for EMEA, and AOT have just looked spectacular, and the push, it just looked so good coming in from AOT. They're able to get those picks, and Frog just couldn't build the ultimates in time, as they had so many that were almost there, or they just got them when they died, when they lost the recontest from AOT, and now they're sitting at a map 5. It's where you think, all right, Ilios, Lijiang, Oasis, Busan. Because you can't, I don't believe you can play Nepal again after we played it for map 1. I would think
Ilios,
you're going
Ilios.
to...
I love Ilios.
Lijiang. Okay. And that, it makes sense, but I still worry about the Pharah. Because on Gardens and on Night Market, the Pharah can get a lot done. Granted, if you're lucky enough to get Control Center first, you are heavily more in favor of Frog, because then they can run the rush with the Symmetra, with the Mei, kind of what they teased on Ilios for a bit, and it can work extremely well. Maybe the Junkrat instead of the Mei. But when you get to Gardens, when you get to Night Market, they're so open. Yes, you can get away with the Symmetra on Night Market. You can maybe get away with it on Gardens. Honestly, it's anybody's game at this point. I think the way AOT have been playing these last 2 maps, if they keep Juzo in, AOT maybe will complete the reverse sweep. But I'm not entirely sure, considering how this series has been.
I'm going to go with it's certainly a possibility. That's my saying here, because it could happen, but it really comes down to whether AOT is able to consistently bring through the damage that we saw in the previous 2 maps. They did not look good. They didn't look good in the first 2 maps. Yes, both of them probably could have gone the other way, and especially on Rialto, it probably should have, but into Lijiang. This is the map where it will come down to win, lose. It is now a best of 3 in terms of rounds rather than a best of
Yeah.
5 in terms of maps. Night Market should, considering its overall layout, go the way of Frog, but the other two, up for grabs. I think AOT should force this onto a third. Should.
I want this to go to map 5 round 3.
Please.
Desperately want it to. Just because that's the way this series should end. Like, it has been ridiculous. This entire series, it's exactly what you want in open division. Two teams who are fighting to stay in this thing and fighting for more money, fighting for a better seating in contenders, which is with the new format. It's huge for some of these teams to get into contenders that maybe wouldn't have had as great of an opportunity in the past. So they want to be able to show up and show out once they get there. And a lot of it is going to be how you can do in the final stages of this tournament and how teams are going to look at you. So, everybody wants to play to map 5. It's the player's dream. Map 5 in a big series. Here you go. You got it. What are you going to show us? We'll have to just wait and see whenever we get into map 5. But honestly, it's been such a roller coaster.
Prediction.
Like, to think. Prediction, I think.
Give me prediction.
Do we know what first round is yet, producer? We do.
We did now.
Control
Control
center.
center.
All right. I think Frog win control center. I think. Oh God. It'll either be
I honestly
Frog
think
2-0 or AOT 2-1.
I think AOT take control center. I think Frog throw this. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
Wow,
that's my
okay.
prediction. I've seen crazy things thus far today. I'm not going to say this would surprise me. But Night Market should go the way of Frog, and it will really come down to Gardens for AOT to bring that back. Neither team is really favored on Gardens. That's the real position they're in. Odd for AOT to go around the outside. I don't think I've seen this strat before. Certainly a new one. They are bringing the Pharah in control center, so it seems to be the call. They also have that verticality directly above the server room. As point will unlock, they have maximum just above. The pile driver thrown through. It finds 3. They're all sent midair. And you also see the hook from behind, trying to find more and more damage checks, creating even more chaos. They've gone from zombie comps to chaos comps. It's created chaos, just not the kills they require. They're losing these gunfights, and Frog, turning my prediction around, it's really control center looking to go the way of Frog already, if this first point is any indication.
Gotta reload there, Jake. You still get the kill at the very end of the day. I didn't mind the look from AOT. Go on the outside, give them something they haven't seen, and it benefits Juzo just to be able to poke away. And the two-prong damage coming in, Juzo from the outside, maximum with the pile drive, Tex trying to come from behind and input some damage. It could work if Frog are not ready for it, as Tex already has that pulse bomb online and should be able to stick it onto somebody in the backline.
Oh no, but Juzo gets completely shut down. The shield from the Reinhardt immediately removes any possibility of the barrage finding damage. They do get the D-Mech across on towards Gas, who should immediately fall past that. The Deadeye utilize, drops Juzo, and that's all the aerial control that was there, now gone. The res does come through on the other side, and Juzo immediately slaps down the Uno reverse card and finds the kill back, an unnecessary sound barrier just to try and stay in this fight. I just do not think it's going to happen, and as you can see, it is not going to. In goes the Blizzard as well. I don't like the overutilization of ults from Frog.
No, they thought it was winnable, but Juzo was just free to do whatever they wanted in the air. Gets a few picks. Nizay now over onto the Sombra to try and at least ground Juzo for a bit. And also try and scout out where this Wrecking Ball is going to be, as they're going to go all the way through server side, through White Room, and straight onto point.
Pulse Bomb, I don't think it lands. It doesn't. It does not get the stick through. The mines on point will relegate Frog to the server room and the outskirts of the point itself for the time being. They'll have to wait, and they just cannot afford to give away this time on the clock, because look at AOT. They've already reached halfway as to what Frog have reached themselves, but an opening kill onto the ball, no less, is a good start. The Ryan Shield seems to be aware of the possibility of the barrage, and he's correct in assuming so, but they still have to find the kills on this AOT half. The Reds inside, just cannot find opening kills. They throw in the barrage. Does he avoid the bomb? No, he doesn't. He dies. He tries to jump away from it and does, but right back into the line of sight. The Deadeye dedicated. It only finds damage, not the kills. The immortality field thrown through as well. That will keep them alive for the time being. But again, the staying power just is not there for Frog, and they'll lose at least seemingly another fight. But it is brought back considering the fact that they had the respawns come through.
They have the respawns, they have the speed as well, and the sustain that AOT just does at maximum now. Off the Wrecking Ball, going back over to the Hog, text over to the Hanzo. They're gonna go back to that comp they were on for Anubis trying to get something, and Maximum just gonna get hacked. He's gonna die, and now this close hold is gonna hit 80% for Frog, and now they can just kind of sit back. They have the EMP online at Matrix as well. A great stagger from Grease on a text, and everything's falling apart right now for AOT.
They're all dead. It's gone. I don't even know if they're gonna be able to touch. They shouldn't be able to touch. They do have one in the outskirts. I think that's the Lucio. If he touches at 97% or later, they will have OT. Should that not happen, the game's over. I do not think there was a touch. There was not. Frog win Control Center, 100 to 61 in terms of percentage. And it was their more viable map. Yes, the Pharah was somewhat viable on Control, but it just is not as there as the Sombra. And if you're playing up against a good Sombra, if not in this case a great Sombra, as any Pharah in the world, you're not winning a lot of these fights. That's exactly what we saw.
Exactly. And this was the round we had a feeling AOT was going to win. Not AOT, Frog was going to win. Like
you had. I was just incorrect. I was just incorrect.
Well, yeah. So, I was going to say incorrect, but you haven't been correct today for a good amount of time. As now they're going to stick on to the rush. Not going to run the Symmetra, though, which I thought Frog would at this point to try and TP on the point, make it a little bit more difficult for the Pharah to poke. But instead, just going to keep running the exact same thing and go, that's a risky call going all the way on the outside. But so far, nobody's going to get booped off. They're more just going to hit into a corner, and they'll make their way over to point.
Juzo's going to just hang out in midair. Point unlocks in 10 seconds. They have to find an opening kill before that happens, or AOT will not have an argument to aggress in. That's exactly what happens. Fake is dropped early, and they do not have the Mercy nor the Resurrection to bring themselves back into this fight. The Mei wall dropped in order to create some more space for the defense. Well, what would be the defensive side should they have contested. But Raishan with a double. The dash straight through alongside the Fire Strike, finding one each. Will they find any more? It's the pin straight through, looking to find another. And it does. Tex, the squishy, is now down, and somehow, even with AOT controlling most of the point for most of this time, they have lost yet another fight. And look at Roy. Oh no.
Well, yeah, AOI just, have a nice trip. As such a great call out from Frog to push in, knowing that, alright, they're only running the Ana, they're not going to have too much sustain, we can just push in with speed and take out some of the back line, and they are able to eventually capture this point. The fight's not done, though. Everybody's still putting ults into this. Juzo puts in the barrage, not going to get much, going to get resurrected up, and just going to die right away again.
Immediate trade, though. Tex does get it with the Pulse Bomb and the D-Mech on towards Gas. Fake Jake using the Amplification Matrix, trying to amplify as much damage as they can. But you have to do damage to amplify it. Diva Bomb will be thrown through, and somehow AOY survives that? What is that? The Sound Barrier is thrown through to try and keep this Frog half in it. And now with 25% on the board, I think that seems like it all they will get. The Nano is dedicated. Everybody's on fire on the AOT side, considering how much damage they've thrown through. The Valkyries utilized, and AOT take the point.
Able to eventually poke through, and Frog now on the back foot. They got to figure out an answer for this pharmacy yet again. Honestly, need to find an answer for Tex. They're just running rampant every single time. Fake Drake tried to focus down Juzo. Tex was just poking in the back, making them look other directions. By the time they eventually looked back at Juzo, they've already got a pick. And AOT, they're just going to play a little bit more safe. They're waiting, I think, for their Ana to get back into the fight. Going to give up a little bit of point control, but they know they can come back and recontest.
Already utilizing the Immortality Field on the Frog half, and opening kill goes their way as well. It is immediately traded back, and exponentially so. But the Diva being demeched will turn this fight back the other way. It is trades upon trades upon trades. These teams cannot discern which one of them wants to take the control. Finally, it's Frog to do so. You will see the Tracer try and create space. She'll jump off the map.
Yep, just gonna decide to join with the rest of their team. As Frog now able to hold just back and forth, no EMP online. It'll be self-destruct for Gas. AOI soon coming for theirs as well. Curious to see if Juzoi is going to try and wait for this barrage similar to what happened in map 1.
Diva Bomb thrown through, it finds absolutely nothing. It was too high to find a kill anyway, and again, Frog are finding opening kills, but they're immediately traded back, and with the Reinhardt off the board, they can utilize the barrage, but the Diva defense matrix was there alongside the Immortality Field, and they stayed alive, but only for the time being. Somehow, Juzo kills himself, also with Gas finding the damage through. Nize from behind will do a lot of damage through that amplification matrix, but just not enough to keep Frog in the fight. They will lose it, and they will lose control of the point.
And all of a sudden, momentum back in AOT's favor. Juzo already halfway to another barrage, and Ultimate's now heavily in favor of AOT as M-Matrix is not going to be there. Neither will the self-destruct for Frog. Going to have a few Ultimates. To say it's EMP maybe a little bit later on, maybe the next fight over, or at late a recontest for the AMP to be used as Frog. Going to go all the way to the wide side yet again, and they're going to get caught out. Tex almost gets the pick onto Nize before the fight truly starts.
There's the Pulse Bomb, though. Keep an eye on that. The Pulse Bomb can be thrown through, although the sound barrier will completely nullify that, and a Shatter is committed. The Pulse Bomb finds him before he can get the pin! How is that coming through from Tex? I was talking about it, and he finds it! But Nize still alive, kills one back the other way, is immediately traded out. 80% now found for the AOT half. Somehow they have come out on top of that fight. A fat Shatter dedicated, but Frog is removed from point contention.
7, I think 8 ultimates used that fight in total. 5 from AOT, 3 from Frog, even though EMP still waiting from Nize, trying to look for it right now into the backside.
Will they find anything out of it? The barrage thrown through, it finds one, and damage onto a second, but they're immediately traded back onto. Nize has found trades here and there. This time, it's that more effective. Rajan having to stay alive in this close corner. I don't think that's going to happen. They have absolutely no support, no supports, and no damage from the rest of their squad. The pin will come through. They weren't even able to touch. Somehow they don't touch, even though they were technically on the point, regardless of technicalities. LT take round number 2 of Night Market. I thought that was going to go their way. It's exactly what happens. We go to a third. This is the one that's up for contention.
I think it's AOT's game to lose now. With the way the pharmacy's been working, Gardens is still very much a far map, way more than it is on Control Center. They even somewhat made it work there. The EMP from Nize just doesn't get enough. It hits maximum, it hits the Lucio. Yes, they're able to capitalize on the Lucio, but it's not enough value from that EMP that they were banking on so hard due to how many ultimates they used the previous fight. So they're gonna go back to the rush yet again. Nize over out to the Reaper this time though. Fake Jake on the casted. AOT's not going to change much. They're going to TP out of spawn just to make sure they gain that extra positioning without that Lucio speed boost to try and get an early environmental kill.
Damage boosting onto Juzo, though. They have to avoid any barrage they can and avoid any of the damage to try an early barrage on this AOT half. Again, damage is thrown through from Juzo, and they avoid any bit of hit scan from this defensive, well, what would be defensive side, considering they're sitting on the point. But they're continuing to have damage thrown through alongside the healing. They're creating space in towards the back rooms as well. An already demeched Gas is not a position you want to be in, though. It is immediately traded back, tank for tank, or pseudo-tank for tank, but Gas gets the remech, somehow is already alive, and will come back into the fight. The Immortality Field's there as well. First point looks like it's going to go the way of AOT, but only for a few seconds as Frog turns it immediately back the other way.
And Maximum now already making a swap. Barrage is going to come through there before we can talk about the swap too much, and the swap already gets value. Takes the MYO. The Lucio is about to die, but great defense matrix going to keep them alive for a little bit longer. But everything, again, crumbling apart. So much damage from so many different angles, and Frog just don't know where to look right now as Juzo just getting able to get some value and cap this point over with that barrage. And now Nize, again, already off of the Reaper, back onto the Summer that we saw some value from on Night Market. But it's just the constant back and forth of these teams. Neither team, it's almost like the definition of the series, neither team able to play great defense, whether it be holding a point or holding a payload, but they're able to have such great offenses. And we'll have to see if Frog's turn now to try and flip this point back yet again.
It's coordination versus crosses, and coordination from attacks has been exponentially better than the crosses held by defensive sides. Juzo is going to try and play in from behind, try and build up their barrage, and get the damage through. The Deadeye dedicated, it finds nothing. The barrage on the other side does, however, it finds one, is immediately traded back the other way, as Nize is there for yet another trade. I've been talking about that through this entirety of Li Zhang, and for understandable reasons. Look how much efficacy it is finding. In goes the D.Va Bomb. It actually finds two. Grease and Mayo, I think we're just trying to die there. That's exactly what happens. The support line is removed, and Gas decides, I'm going to jump off the map. 60% now for AOT.
They have the Valk ready. Yeah, they use Barrage late into that fight, so they're only going to have 2 ultimates. The Pulse Bomb, more maybe just going to bait out Immortality more than anything else. Frog, it is a must-win fight. Both tank ultimates online, maybe an Ant Matrix as well, or an EMP. Again, they're struggling to truly push in because they're getting caught out from so many different angles. They don't survive long enough to truly have a fight, and exactly what happens yet again, Dan.
Rajan does find one back. It is a tank-for-tank trade, though. Rajan has to find more. I just don't think that's going to happen. You have the boop off as Fake Jake falls straight into the moat surrounding the gardens, but Rajan is still here. The D.Va Bomb dedicated, and the pin comes through. They should be able to remove AOI, and that's exactly what happens. The D-Mech following up with the kill. They will stagger out the D.Va before she will fall. Yes, they're able to get it up to 99% on the AOT half, but they have yet to win the game. Frog are going to win this fight. They will capture and they will keep themselves alive only for the time being, but AOT are still throwing themselves into these fights, taking time off the clock, but Frog's still there.
Still there in the end. They also have Shatter now again almost built up. Soundbearer is still in the pocket of Grease. AOT maybe just going to take this next fight more to build up some ultimates as they are getting closer to a sound barrier. Same thing with both of their tank ultimates. Not truly there yet. Just going to put some pressure on point, and they're just going to disjoint the entire Frog defense. They already get split up. Now regains on point. And without Maximum, just going to be a little bit longer of a wait for this attack to truly begin. And Zehe's just been all over Juzo, just hacking them left and right.
Shatter finds absolutely nothing. That's an overcommitted Shatter into absolutely nobody. A sound barrier will keep them alive, but only for the time being. This is a stagger tool at best. Yes, they will take away the D.Va. Yes, they will do even more damage across onto Lucio and take both of them out in tandem. But AOT bait out a few ultimates that honestly you wouldn't expect to be utilized in those situations. The sound barrier and the Shatter, little surprising to see both of those committed alongside the D.Va Bomb? What?
I think it was a misclick. I think it was a misclick.
There's no way that was intentional.
Gas. Yeah, as 80% now, and they're not able to get a stagger. Frog, yes, they're gonna have EMP soon, but AOT, they smartly didn't use anything to bait out their 2 ultimates last night. They're gonna have almost everything, but the early commit from Fake Jake's gonna get value.
Backvisor alongside the sound barrier on the other side. They also utilize the Valkyrie, and they should be able to get the res across onto Juzo. Mercy has yet to utilize that, but it's a little, too late. The reverse sweep, certainly a possibility for AOT, but here on Gardens, it is being shut down. A single person left on the point to stagger this one out and keep themselves alive, but the amplification matrix utilized by Fake Jake continuing to do damage. The Helix rockets looking to be thrown through to drop that ball. Somehow they get the mines out, but it's not as much as you'd expect. The ball hacked out and stuck in that vertical position is now down. Frog in the final map look to deny the reverse sweep, and from the looks of it, that's exactly what's going to happen. It is stagger upon stagger upon stagger. They just do not have the staying power. Yes, the barrage is thrown through, but the defense matrix is just exponentially better. They will fall off the map, and they will fall to Frog, who move on in the lower bracket as AOT failed to complete the reverse sweep by the hair of their chinny chin chins.
Game of inches, Dan. What are we saying this entire series? A game of inches, and this time it is perfect aggression from Frog to know, all right, we have some ults, but we know they have a lot of ults coming. So if we allow them to use their set play that they're thinking of, we are not going to win this fight. We are not going to win this map, and we are not going to win this series. So the very early aggression with Attack Visor takes out the Pharah, throws off the entire AOT plan, and when they're eventually getting around, then they get EMP'd every single time, every single choke point. Frog had an answer for them before AOT could even think, and they denied the reverse sweep. What a series to start off the day. That's all I gotta say.
99 to 24 in terms of percentages. That was the final count before Frog were able to capture, and they barely even captured at that. You
Yeah.
continue to see staggers upon time delay upon time delay. It's in my name for a reason. But it just was not there for AOT. They were able to contest time after time after time, yet were not able to stay on point long enough to create enough space for themselves and find enough kills to find the point back the other way. It was outstanding defense for, I think, the first time in the freaking series, Jesse.
Yeah.
It's taken them a while to build up defenses, but hey, better late than never for
They
Frog.
got there.
They do deny the reverse sweep.
They got there eventually. And I think for them now, as they continue on in the lower bracket, this is one you're going to take a lot of notes on. You're going to play a very good team, whether it be the 14 seed or the 78 seed. You need to be ready. And from there, again, just keep going one game at a time. And for AOT, it's a rough exit because they very well could have won this series at multiple points today. But the reverse sweep just falls a little bit short. We are going to go to a quick break. We do have another match for you from the upper bracket. It'll be Munich. The number 1 seed of this tournament going to be facing off against one of those more surprising teams in the silly and strong, the 24 seed. You do not want to miss it. Stay with us.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EMEA Overwatch Open Division. This is play day number 5 for the bracket. We move up to the winner's bracket thus far in the bracket. It was a little bit of a troublesome map 5 back for AOT, but that's out of the way. We now move on. It's Munich versus Cillian Strong. Now, Munich Esports are a very established organization. They have a Liquipedia page and everything. I was doing some research before, and it's astounding to see the consistency out of the squad. But Cillian Strong, it's more of a pug stack with a lot of strong players. The duality of man, I suppose.
Yeah, you got a little bit of a little pug action, and just a lot of players like, hey, why not? We'll throw in a team in open division. Kind of what, if you and I were thrown onto a team, kind of what would happen. I think we'd
Yeah,
probably go out
but like
you
we
right
suck.
away.
So
Yeah, I know. I was about to say like we'd be out already at this point. Munich Esports, you have one player from Shoes Money Crew, formerly, two formerly of Sheer Cold. It's a very stacked team. There's a reason why they're the #1 seed entering this tournament, and I'm curious to see if that trend is going to continue on today, or if Cillian Strong, maybe it's been a very interesting day so far. We'll have to see if that trend continues into this match.
now let's figure out where we are going to have trends continue. Our maps, or map singular, considering it's loser picks for the entirety of the first to 3 series. Ilios is map numero uno. I like Ilios. I was really hoping for Ilios in the previous series as a map 5, especially considering the fact that Lucio was very prevalent. I would expect that to continue here where Lucio is prevalent, considering the fact that you can boot people and, well, Lucio overall a good hero in and of himself. What's your prediction heading into this? Because I like to ask you predictions, especially at the beginning of series, because usually I'm wrong and I casters curse things. So I'm going to restrict myself from predictions for probably most of this.
Munich 2-0 for the map, I would say. It's going to be a shock if Munich don't go out strong, because again, the caliber that this team is ridiculous. But again, Cillian Strong, they could do something. Like, I am very open to the thought that they could, pull something out of the hat. Maybe we get some more Hog Diva comps. I don't know. We could see some interesting stuff get thrown out, but I think Munich are definitely the favorites going into this. And if we learned anything today, you have horrible luck with cast cursing and picking. So maybe it is the right thing to kind of just let you sit there.
I want to talk about it. All right. I think I casters cursed that last series like 4 times.
Oh, at
And
least. At least. It was like a one per map average.
And somehow I did it like mid fights as well. I don't know how I pulled that off. Like, oh, they're gonna end it. I was in my ending map monologue for AOT to take it, and then somehow Frog was like, "No, Rialto's ours. Thank you very much." Utilized. It was good over. It was good ult utilization in that map. They had a lack of that into maps 3 and 4. And then I don't know how they won the last fight. You were talking about it earlier. It was a good opening pick and just chaos past that. But they used the ultimates way too much, especially in off-map situations where you are not in a fight yet. And Ilios, not Alios. I cast with a guy named Alios. It's a force of habit. Into Ilios, Munich should have the advantage here just by seeding and I think by skill. Nothing against Cillian Strong. Very good team from face value. But coordination is key, especially with the different ways you can play, especially on Ilios itself. And I think that's what we're going to see from Munich Esports.
Exactly. Like, this team has been together for a decent amount of time. They won the Flash Ops experimental card Creator Cup, the second one, just a little bit ago. So the quality of this team is immense. So I'll have to see if that can carry over today. They're going to run this Ball Diva Chaos comp with the Sombra and the Tracer. Cillian Strong running the 6-man / zombie comp, whatever you want to call it. They'll be running that over here on Duel.
Well, our opening sight of this one, and you're looking at Cillian Strong creating a lot more space than you'd honestly expect at face value, considering their composition, but it's an aggressive composition that's finding the opening picks, but not the opening duels, and surprisingly, they don't get the first control point secured. The D-Mech comes through, and Cillian Strong, whatever control they had prior, actually is turned into a control point success, but just not kills in their favor. They will get the control point captured first, but past that, it's not looking good overall.
No, it'll eventually be
wait, they backed up
to Munich, maybe. They've reset a little bit to heal up because the sustain of this comp isn't that great. Pulse bomb throwing in, not going to get much, and now allows the coalescence. Well, I was about to say to do whatever they want, but an EMP is going to deny that from even existing.
They also use the trance just the same, trying to send themselves into these fights. I don't know how quickly Munich were able to build up those ultimates, but they use it to push Silly and Strong off the site, and they don't even find a lot of kills to do so. It was just pressure building up and over, and unfortunately for Silly, they just did not have the ability to nullify that pressure from Munich Esports, and just like that, points turned back the other way.
Maybe they believe that Sardon was actually ahead of the EMP than Love, but Love early comes out. There we go. EMP from against Munich this time hits 3, able to finish up on 2 of those targets. And now Silly and Strong can just press on in, but Minefield going to delay the push just a little bit.
The Death Blossom alongside the kill past it should create, again, space for Silly and Strong, but Munich can stall this out. The question now remains, how long will they do so? The answer is about 3.5 seconds, as Silly and Strong will take back that point capture. But Munich were very quick in building up their ultimates into these fights. I see no reason as to why that would not continue into this one specifically. They will start to move themselves straight and through, not trying to throw in the Coalescence, and will do just that, doing a lot of damage and healing their team all in tandem with one another. That's a lot of efficacy out of that Moira, finding all the damage, all the healing. That's exactly what you need to see.
And so far, Silly and Strong, they ain't looking so silly. They're looking pretty strong, as able to hold this point 60% and counting now. And Munich just haven't had too many answers. Silly and Strong doing a very good job of staying together, not allowing Munich Esports to separate them out and try and get those early pickoffs that this comp is solely based around. And even though Love gonna try and go in with the EMP, it's only gonna hit 3 this time.
That does find a decent bit of efficacy, though. He's booped away. He is able to teleport, uses the translocator, and gets out of dodge. In goes the Diva Bomb, trying to create as much space as possible. Somehow, they take out the Reaper as Gandhi drops. It is again space created by Munich, but they only have this ability to win fights when ultimates are available, which is a good notion for a team, but that's not consistent, and that's the issue they're going to run into. Yes, Melon is going to throw in the Primal Rage and try and create space of their own, which is relatively successful at face value, but Munich Esports are able to stay here for the time being and force Silly and Strong away as Shira is dropped.
He just tried to go in with the Death Blossom, but just went out of Wraith a half second too early. Still gets hit with the self-destruct, and everything falls apart there. They still have that self-destruct, the Death Blossom and EMP combo ready to go, as well as both support elements. A lot of resources available here, but they're going to get called out. EMP's going to go in, gets 3 yet again.
Nobody throws in the Death Blossom and gets hacked! Oh no, I can't even speak English! He throws in the Death Blossom and gets hacked. He's sent into the well. Good overutilization of ultimates. I don't know what the heck that English was for me. I tried to spit out about 45 different words at the exact same time. Silly and Strong, TLDR, they shut it down. Outstanding attempt, but it's immediately removed. Jesse, I don't know.
It's been a weird one so far. Citrus still has that sound barrier online ready to go. They need to be able to avoid getting hit with this EMP from Love.
I don't think that's going to happen. Love has it available and should be able to throw themselves in. They do get the hack off onto the Tracer, who cannot get out of dodge. Munich Esports started this one off in a poor position. We're able to bring it back, and that's exactly what we see here. Kills are going to continually go in their favor. The hack is thrown through. Yes, they get the sound barrier off, but they still have to walk straight through the mines, straight through the meat grinder. And yes, Citrus will be able to move themselves around the point and straight back onto the point, but overtime is still on the clock. Throwing themselves into this is not the position that Silly and Strong can afford. Yes, ultimates are available. They still have the hack on their own side. The EMP is available should they choose to use it. That's exactly what happens, but it finds absolutely nothing. In goes the Pulse Bomb, trying to find as much as it humanly can, and it does find damage, but not the kills.
No way.
Silly and Strong looking to bring it back. Somehow I've Casters cursed it again, and Silly and Strong are here again.
The Symmetra teleport gets everybody back, and the overtime ticker so quick, nobody touches. As wow. Silly and Strong, they win round 1. They win well. It's Overwatch, baby. That's about all I can say. It's Overwatch. It's open. Anything can happen. Doesn't matter how much of a favorite you are going in. Things like that happen. Munich, I don't know, just a little bit slow. They lost. I thought at first they were going to lose that push. Honestly, early on, they lost both of their supports. But they win it initially. They used the EMP thing. All right. They're looking good. They cleaned it up. And then they fall at the final moment. The TP coming in. The symmetric play from Kandi is actually so huge to get everybody back in time, where some of them are very close to ultimates. Now they're going to use the TP again. They're trying to get to point quickly as they're going to swap over to the Tracer. And now both teams going to run this Chaos comp, with the sole exception being Kano on the Hanzo instead of the Tracer.
Creativity, I think, is here for Munich over anything. This is what we saw. It's relatively similar to their original composition at the beginning of Well, and it's something I like to see, but whether it works out or not is the real question. We're seeing Kanile on the backline try and gain as much ground and create space, but you're not seeing damage enough, at least thrown through. The control point has opened up. They should be able to capture should they throw themselves through. And yes, it's damage being put forward, but just not enough of it to create as many openings as they should be. And somehow Kanile immediately shuts me up, finds 2. That should be the fight already over. Down goes the ball, down goes everything. It's a team kill already in the fight. Silly and Strong are collapsed upon, and Munich will open things up.
As you say, Kanile took a little bit of time, but they're able to get the value from staying a little bit spread out, trying to find those picks, just trying to sit back, and able to eventually get a few eliminations going their way. And Kanye's not able to close that gap. There's a little bit of pressure on the point as Silly and Strong make their way. But honestly, Nut hasn't been able to do much on the Zenyatta, getting shut down by Ryochi, who is already at that Transcendence.
They can use that early and create space. Again, for their team, Munich Esports will be shut away, but Ryochi needs to put it through early, because Silly and Strong are going to commit themselves. Dragon Strike thrown through, and does get the kill across onto the Brigitte, and all the damage is being committed alongside the D.Va just being thrown off the map. They predict the recall as well. What is that game sense coming through from Kanile? And the openings as well. Munich just finding the kills required, and they have 5 ultimates on the board.
So does Silly and Strong. I mean, they have 4, but Silly and Strong still have plenty. Maybe, honestly, if you're one of these Sombras, do you wait for the counter EMP to try and cancel out the opposing one if it gets too much, or if it doesn't get enough, maybe wait a few seconds and then go in yourself, as Sir Donks can just be looking for it in the backline right now. Transcendence forced early from Nuts.
It does get a lot of ground, though. Sardonyx waiting on site with the EMP available. The other EMP, their opposing, does get cut through. Ryochi on the backline trying to find the damage, but the EMP is committed on the backside as well. All the ultimates that came into this fight have almost already been utilized. Shreya will throw in their D.Va Bomb, trying to get as much damage as they can. It does find one across, but they're immediately taken away as Choose will get the frag across. Munich Esports, even though they had the ultimate disadvantage coming into the fight, they utilized their ultimates in responsible manners and find the kills they need. 99% already found here for the blue team. That should be the game, but as long as I don't Caster's Curse it, it will be. Sardonyx falls. Kandi will fall as well. It's down to Shiria in a 1v6. As the D.Va, they'll get demech'd and they'll die. OT will eventually tick away, and Lucio won't even touch. Munich will take the second round. I didn't cast a curse at that time, Jesse.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
And Munich, that's the Munich we were kind of expecting this map. As a victory for Munich and a victory for TTL. As English is hard sometimes, and so is not caster cursing, my friend.
It's been a day.
But
it's been a day.
It's been a day. That is true. As we go over to Lighthouse for round 3, I think Munich have settled in a little bit more. Like, it seemed like they were almost a little bit slow over on Well. The communication wasn't quite there. They weren't as quick onto the engage this time. Everything was clicking, and as they do get ready for Lighthouse, Silly and Strong going back over to the 6-man comp that worked so well over on Well, and Munich, they used the TP right away, and then going right back over to the Hanzo that was so crucial over on Ruins.
Lighthouse, the final point of this one in the best of 3 on Ilios, and look at Silly and Strong dedicating themselves already and finding the kills. The opener goes their way, but is immediately traded back the other way. Kandi has to find the damage and is immediately pushed away, does not have the ability to go into Wraith form as they are hacked out of contention. However, Silly and Strong are able to capture first. There's no way for Munich to contest there, considering they lost half of their healing early on in that fight, but they will try to recontest early on. Lots of damage still available for them, and a nice headshot across onto the D.Va, looking to demech her early. If they can find these kills and one already, they'll be able to push it. That's exactly what happens. That should be the go button put through here for Munich Esports. Damage already done. The kills are there. The pile driver to commit themselves to the point, and that's just the fight over. Look at how much was there and how coordinated the push was. The Wraith form will deny things for a few seconds, but they'll be sent off the point and sent off the map as well. Somehow he's still alive, but yeah, you get the general idea.
Yeah, still the lost fight for Silly and Strong. And Munich, just the amount of coordination that push took. It's like, all right, you get one pick, everybody just hit the go button. Onto the same target, one by one, Silly and Strong members fell. And now, ultimates on board for Munich. All 6 will be available by the time this fight truly begins, with this EMP a big catalyst.
Oh, it finds 3 as well. The Dragon Strike put through just the same. That is 5 kills in as many seconds. The DMEC and the immediate kill past that. A team kill in less than 6 seconds. You blink and you miss it. That's exactly what happens to Silly and Strong. They blinked, they got EMP'd, they got Dragon Strike through, and the Nano is put through as well. 3 ultimates to find a full fight win and take 10 to 15 seconds off that clock for the recontest. The pile driver is dedicated, and they're looking to put themselves into this fight early on. Overcommitting themselves though, and is already down to 300 HP, does have the healing, but the EMP thrown through can allow this push to come through from Silly and Strong. The Coalescence alongside the sound barrier as well, dedicating so much health and so much damage to this red side attack, but they're just not finding the kills. They're not finding the damage themselves. Even though the Coalescence is put through, they are shut down and they are removed from this point. The D.Va Bomb will create space, but it won't create any opportunities, and all of Munich will be able to stay alive and stay in this, at least for the time being. It is finally turned back, but it took them 3 to 4 full fights to do so.
I don't know if it's done quite yet, though. Death Blossom over the top, gonna get some damage output. Anj is gonna die. The DMAC comes through, and eventually Silly and Strong able to catch the point. Maybe a little too over-aggressive from some members of Munich Esports. As Canale was legit in the backline at one point. Dragon Strike, though,
wow,
great pickoff on the Citrus, as that'll be a great early pickoff. And now with no speed, Silly and Strong kind of have to sit. You're just sitting at point, waiting for the push to come in from Munich.
Oh, and they're about to push in with the EMP as well. If Love can get this off, they'll be able to throw everything through the translocator into the EMP pop. All of Silly and Strong have 0 abilities, but they may not need them. Somehow, 1 kill's brought back. Citrus was able to speed themselves back into the point, but it's not going to matter. It's still kills going the way of Munich. They utilize their ultimates and their abilities to quite perfection and bring the point back in very speedy fashion at that, and start to build up ultimates of their own in that same fight. The D.Va Bomb's already available.
Ready to go. Rally soon as well, but that's going to be about it. Silly and Strong, they have to rely on their EMP. Honestly, EMPs from both sides have been pretty crucial to these fight wins. Seems like every other fight we're talking about an EMP getting ready to go, and this time it'll be the one from Sardonyx. It'll be go down. It only hits 2 this time.
The Coalescence only does a little bit of damage as well. The D.Va Bomb actually takes away Citrus and creates a lot of space for this Munich Esports side to come back into the fight. The opposing D.Va is going to throw in their own mech and try and have that explode and create space. It does, only for the time being. The D-mech comes through, but that's just not enough for Silly and Strong to allow themselves to get back into this fight. A good Bionade thrown through, as somehow you're still seeing him alive on the D.Va. They will be able to remech. The hack comes through across onto the now primal raged up Kellen. But this fight is not over. Mines put onto the point, not allowing any real estate for the Silly and Strong side. They're all dead with regards to the Reaper and the Moira, but I don't think it's really going to matter. They'll be able to recap. They will be able to take away any point of contention. They'll try and throw themselves in, but it's just straight into the mines and straight to their demise. Munich Esports will take Ilios.
A little scrappy, but Munich still take it 2-1. As the final little bit, the Brazilian Strong, everything just falls apart. Not able to get those kills, and this is, man, the Hanzo. It's so unorthodox, right? You don't. Hanzo's kind of fallen out of the meta. Maybe some double shield maps, like I like Rialto, like Havana. You're able to see him a little bit more, but honestly, he's fallen out for the most part. But when you hit shots like that, you don't gotta worry about meta too much. I don't think as just shot after shot. encouraging these dives to come in from the rest of their team where the basis of this comp is set up instead of the normal Ana who's maybe a little bit more long range, whether it be nades or sleeps. This time it's just Hanzo shots in general, whether it be a pick or a nice little headshot. That is the go button for Munich in this composition, and it worked out time and time again. Now Cillian Strong are down a map and now to figure out where they want to go for escort.
Well, worked out well for them. I had to make that joke because A, it was funny, and B, it was applicable. But past that, they weren't able to really put themselves into the remaining 2 points. They fell relatively short on Lighthouse. It was 99 to 91, so a close bout just wasn't there in the end. The fights were very pivotal, but the EMPs were the real pivotal ultimates in a lot of those fights. Our next map has been put through to us. However, we weren't told. It's Dorado. I actually like Dorado. I love Dorado. It's very fun.
Yeah, I think Dorado, it's going to lean into a lot of what we saw on Ilios. It's going to be either the Chaos comp, maybe we can see the 6-man zombie comp come in as well. But it is going to be a lot of the same. We're not going to see too much rush here. Probably not going to see a whole lot of double shield. Maybe you can see it on defense. But it's a little wish-washy as it can get countered by the same Chaos comp that we've seen both teams run today. So I'm gonna either the maybe 6-man coming in, maybe the Chaos comp as well. But I will give credit to Cillian Strong when it's credit's due. They have brought it to Munich like I don't think any other team has so far in this bracket. But there needs to be a little bit more finesse. As some of the plays we saw earlier, Condi maybe got a little aggressive, went out of Wraith just a half second too early, dies to the self-destruct, can't use the death blossom, and that maybe wins them that fight. There's a few other moments during Lighthouse as well. It's like they maybe could have had a little bit more finesse, and maybe it changes the outcome of that map. And we're thinking, Munich's down 1-0, but I do think it is anybody's game. So, and still up to this point, even with Munich being the #1 overall seed and winning the first map.
When you're looking at how Munich have played Ilios, it was based off of vertical control and early fight wins. If they win a fight or win at least the opening kill, they're able to snowball that into a fight win. I think that should carry over as we head into Dorado. Verticality was a real point of contention there on Ilios. That should, especially on first point, carry over in Dorado, and even second as well, considering the balcony put through. But I'm looking at how quickly you're going to see Munich win a lot of these fights. And on Dorado, they should be starting off on the defensive side. It was, of course, their choice. That's exactly what's going to happen. When the losing team picks the map, the team that won the previous will be able to have the side choice. They chose the defensive side, and I understand why. You can create a lot of momentum for yourself on the defense, especially on escort maps. If that happens early and Cillian Strong are not able to build past first point, this should be a collapse for the Cillian Strong half.
And a swap comes in as well for Munich. It'll be QQ5 coming in. Maybe to play a little bit more of the Tracer. Canale going to be subbed out, and they want to go fully into this traditional 6-man now with the Tracer. Maybe something else for later on as well. Cillian Strong, they are going to run this double shield. They weren't sure if we are going to see or not with Condi onto the Ashe. Sardox still over onto the Tracer, which I got an alright amount of value. I don't think anything game-changing, though, at least as of yet, as the DPS play from Munich has been superb. But as they slowly push up this cart, just able to create a little bit of space. They know QQ5 is sitting in the back somewhere, just not so sure quite yet as Munich just continue to hold the high ground.
QQ5 on this Tracer from behind can create a lot of damage and chaos for this attacking side, but the attack has already started to make it under the bridge and through the underpass. They've created an unnecessary amount of space for themselves in the defense and just not built up off of it. They've lost the opening pick as Love has fallen. They're not switching from the Widow either. These opening duels just cannot continually fall away from Munich because that was their main point of success in the previous map. Sardonyx already has the Pulse Bomb available should they choose to use it. You're going to see the Trance thrown through, but will that find any damage, or, well, any healing, I suppose? The answer seems to be yes, but Love from above, how does that headshot not kill Sardonyx?
I'm not so sure, and it may cost them a little bit more than just, a kill. This point should be going over as gonna get a headshot coming in from Kadi, able just to shoo away Love, gonna get finished off by Sardonyx, and what a first opening push from Cillian Strong. As you said, Munich Yes, high ground's important, but you need to eventually converge, and usually it's underneath that underpass, but they got the cart, and they allowed the cart just to push a little bit too far forward. They couldn't collapse like they would have liked, and instead just have to lose first phase of this map. And yes, they regain high ground control. They're going to try and go in early here onto the backline of Cillian Strong, but at what cost?
They're committing themselves in towards the backline. Condi down to 50 HP will be healed up. They have the supports in the backline for assistance there. But Munich have yet to win these fights. It's really just poking this attacking side out. A good dynamite, a nice shot across onto Citrus, who falls. The mech is thrown through as well, drops Condi. The DPS line looking to fall in these fights. Finally, you're seeing Munich Esports converge on choke points. In that first point, that's not what we saw. They allowed Cillian Strong straight through that underpass choke point and pushed them on towards the courtyard. Yet, in this situation, it's immediately turned back the other way. The first choke point really goes the way of Munich, and they've already taken 1 minute and 15 seconds off this newly refreshed time bank.
With the comp Cillian Strong are on, it's going to take a long time for this and for enough space to be created, because they have no true way to contest high ground other than the Gravitic Flux coming from Shira, and maybe Sardonks going all the way around on the flank just to put a little bit of pressure. But it's QQ5 sits here to wait for this cart, trying to get a pulse. They are going to get called out, and they will not be able to use that set play.
Actually, I think they'll still be able to throw the pulse bomb through. It does land, and it does get the kill. Melon's dropped. Good night, sleep tight. Don't let the pulse bombs bite, my friend. That's a nightmare waiting to happen, and it's exactly what happened. Citrus had already died prior in the fight, so a theoretical team kill, plus or minus a few seconds. But again, time off the clock, 45 seconds. Even more off that time bank past the previous fight. And Munich Esports are converging on the position in front of the church and under the bridge. A little surprising that you're seeing Cillian Strong continually dying in these positions.
And Cillian Strong just haven't been able to use as many ults. Now they're going to go all the way under near the entrance of church, but they only were able to use one ult to that previous fight when Munic's able to rotate these ults so much more efficiently.
But the D.Va gets demech'd. The Bob is thrown through to create a lot of space and do a lot of damage, create even more chaos, but it's just not enough for the attacking side to deal with, as Munich will fall. Almost every one of them will fall in these engagements. It will just be one. It's the ball left over. And it's Cillian Strong to finally win a fight in second point. They'll create a lot of space for themselves and put more time on the clock as they push into the final phase of this second phase. Munich have to retake.
They're in a decent position too, though. They had to use Bob last fight. They have the pulse from QQ5. The minefield to potentially stall later on if they can build it up quick enough. Cillian Strong need to get something from this Gravitic Flux. Using it on the back line, able to get some pressure, but no kills.
Nothing past that as well. The Deadeye finds one, immediately traded back, though, as QQ5 continues with their aggression thrown through. They continue to teleport right into this backline and create chaos. You called it a chaos comp for a reason. That's exactly what it does. It is a catalyst to chaos. Just down to the Orisa. No new changes to the Orisa. This is not Overwatch 2, unfortunately for her. She will fall, as will the Cillian Strong attack. They will push this point a little bit further back than the point capture spot, and Munich Esports will create space for themselves yet again.
And no, yeah, sorry, Melon, and no Javelin for you, as you gotta maybe wait another 6 months to a year to fully be able to use that in competitive play. But Munich, as you said, a minute left, you're gonna hold this high ground. Cillian Strong gonna go opposite way to get called out early, self-destruct.
Wow.
And drive as well. What coordination coming out from Munich, but it may not be enough quite yet.
Stigma through the shield and just did not land because of the pile driver. Choose is dropped, though. The overcommission from that ball will get them killed. The trance thrown through. All the healing is there. The damage will not be for the attacking half. The Bob's available. Should that be thrown through, that's exactly what will happen. It is, but it only hits the pillar. That won't find nearly as much efficacy as you'd originally expect. The immortality field's removed. QQ5 continuing to do damage and pushing this attacking side back. 25 seconds on the clock. They're doing the damage. They're just not finding the kills. The defense in these situations needs to do more. Sardonyx has the pulse bomb should they choose to use it. They may have to drop Choose as they They have that healing available, but Sardonyx will, in tandem with Nut, take away QQ5. Their doppelgangers removed, their counterpart off the board, and the stick through onto Love will get the kill across. That should be the fight. That should be second point, but we've seen surprises before. That may happen again. It is OT on the clock. Should they get off point, they will fall. And Twin Salty, in this situation, it's not going to happen.
Not yet as well. You see the Symmetra come back out for Cillian Strong just to make sure that recontest does not come through from Munich. Because now they're going to go back over to the Cassidy, not needing that Symmetra anymore. But it is that fail-safe that, yes, you're going to lose some ult charge for it. But you have to make sure you actually complete that phase of the map. You got a minute left, not too much time to dilly-dally. Is doing a little bit of poke battle for the high ground, not going to be able to gain high ground control. They're instead going to try and pull a few members off, and they will be able to. The question is, can they finish off anybody? And the answer to that is also no.
Nobody's finishing off anybody. It's still a 6v6. An opening kill is yet to be found in this third phase. Finally, it is. Apparently, I can even Caster's Curse the lack of opening picks. Choose the first one to fall is not a position that Munich would like to be in. Losing a tank early is never a good spot, and they lose their main DPS as well. Love in the backline has to do an exponentially higher amount of damage, and they just will not. That is 4 kills already found in these engagements. They will demech Trist and just collapse this defensive side. There's only 20 seconds left. If they can slow this attack down and force them into OT, they can really push that to success on their attacking side. That's exactly what will happen. They will continue to slow them down. The Diva Bomb thrown through to create some space, but it does not find the kills. The Deadeye, to do just that, will do the same. The Immortality Field is there, though. 4 seconds on the clock, down to 3. They will not capture in regulation. OT is required, at least here in the first part, but they will continue to push the point. The defensive side is forced into OT and will continue to try and pressure. They may win the fight as well. In goes the Diva, trying to create as much space and damage as humanly possible. Spin to win is dedicated. Choose will die. QQ5 will not even come back into this fight as they switch to the Genji. Cillian Strong will complete Dorado, but it took them all of their time bank and all of OT to do so as well.
Nut goes huge for 3 at the very end, finishing off as the BAP wants to get in a little bit on the kill action as well. A little scrappy from Cillian Strong. Again, it kind of seems to be their playstyle, a little unpolished at times, but it honestly seems to go at their advantage sometimes as well. As Munich, my one problem with Munich right now is they're using ults in very weird spots. As we saw it during the second phase when everybody was kind of sitting to the backside of church. Also, oh, we're going to use Rally and then get instantly destroyed by the Ant Matrix. Oh, we're going to use Strange right after to try and save. Doesn't work out. We saw it again later on near the very end of the map where we saw a little bit of late ult usage, doesn't get value, and at that point Cillian Strong can rotate their ults more efficiently and get the picks that are needed. It's a little bit of a worry from a team that is so established because it's not a mistake you're used to seeing them make. It's not normally, oh, you know, we're going to make some ult changes and some ult uses that maybe are a little bit questionable. For them, it's just, oh, maybe this guy's just off this day, or maybe the communication isn't there. But it's just these silly mistakes in Munich Esports I don't really expect that Cillian Strong are forcing out. And they're going to be running not at the double shield, going to push Shira over onto the Diva. So again, kind of that altered rush comp with the Orisa instead of the Rhine that we saw a little bit of in our first match today. What a shot from Love, and that just opens up the entirety of this offense for Munich.
That's a lot of healing off the board. If they can push this quickly, that's a lot of point control you would not otherwise have. They'll look to find another. Love throwing themselves through, but will not find the second attempt. Still damage done for the Widow, but an opening kill is a pivotal one at that. Citrus will come back into this fight, but late. Good Dynamite does a decent bit of damage and starts to build up some of that ult charge for the Ashe, but it's just not enough to push this attacking side back. 30 seconds gone. They've made pivotal moves forward into the underpass. This is the choke point that was a lack of push from the Munich defense. This is where Cillian Strong have to shut down Munich on their attack, because this is where they can change what has happened previously. A minute gone in this attack thus far, and they have yet to push through, but Love finding yet another opener. This time it's Condi to fall to yet another headshot, and it's just everything collapsing past that. More and more damage thrown through, more and more commitments from this Munich Esports push. This Cillian Strong defense cannot match up to it. They will make the push through the underpass and make it past that first real chip.
And honestly, I don't see Silly and Strong being able to contest this too well, if at all, as this card's going to roll through. That'll be first phase. Nearly complete. They are going to put some ults back into this, though, and Matrix use from the side. Shire's going to
Wow.
contest a little bit, and the opening pick actually does go their way.
They find more, and they'll look to push this right back into it. Looks like you've casters cursed it this time around. Ha ha ha, Jesse. But they will bring it back, and it's more damage done that I don't think anybody expected, including us, and we have the X-ray vision and that third-person perspective looking straight through. It will be Silly and Strong, locking down this first point for a much longer time than we saw anything near from Munich Esports. They will pop... What is it? The red infrasight. That's the word I was looking for. It was red something. And Love was looking for those frags, just didn't find it.
Just not able to and this Widow pick, I like it from Love, but it's not been consistent enough. As they're able to put some pressure, but they've been able to take the angles that are quite needed, and QQ5 has not been able to get as many picks as needed either, so the DPS pressure from Silly Strong has just been better so far. Bob's going to get thrown in. Just keep shooting choose, which ain't gonna get elimination. Forces them into a corner they do not want to be in, and no matter what, you're getting shot from all angles. Choose, you do not live that, but neither will. Actually, no, Melon actually will live. The Wrecking Ball counterpart will survive, and Munich Esports now time crumbling down and looking a little iffy.
D.Va is taken out, though. That's the best case scenario for Munich. They lose half of their tank line on the Silly and Strong side. The nade's thrown through, but QQ5 dies regardless. One of the DPS players and another on the support line is gone. That's a lot of damage thrown through, and their secondary support off the board means with just 60 seconds left, Munich have to quickly re-engage because time is not on their side.
It truly is not. 50 seconds left, and you only really have Minefield, and maybe you're going to have Infrasight later on, but it's honestly not going to do much. But Silly and Strong, they have absolutely nothing for us. They'd use everything to make sure they did not give up the point in the previous engagement. And a pick like that is not going to help, as Ryochi able to take out the Tracer for Silly and Strong. A lot less backline pressure.
Yeah, but Silly and Strong dropping choose means there's a lot less staying power for the attacking side, and that's exactly what they need. The trance thrown through, this is best case scenario. They have to send themselves through the choke point and find the kills while the trance is still available. It does expire, but so will a lot of the players in the Silly and Strong side. The D.Va Bomb available should they choose to use it, but in these close angles, it's just really not viable in those close corners. Somehow they managed to de-mech him, but Trust will be able to bring back that mech after utilizing the bomb. The opposing bomb dedicated does not find anything. The mines on the point will not allow them to push forward without taking a crap ton of damage, and Munich Esports just cannot afford that. We were looking at Dorado, and Munich looked favored on it considering their vertical pressure, but in these situations they've continually been shut down, and a capitalization pulse bomb just to put a nail in the coffin. Munich are shut down. Silly and Strong will be able to hold this one down. They will take map number 2.
And it's not like it was, you know, extremely close. We're going in overtime, final phase. No, that defense was phenomenal from Silly and Strong. As everything Munich tried to throw at them, they had an answer for. And yes, sometimes it is better to be a little bit more slow on some of these engagement on the first phase. But when it does not work out, it hurts you so much because you just don't have as many fights as you would normally have, and that's what hurt Munich right there. Yes, they were playing for picks. They put a lot of pressure onto Love to get Valley of the Widow. Yes, they got the fantastic shot in the very beginning of the round. What did they give? Maybe one or two more the rest of the map? Like, they didn't get much done on the Widowmaker, and it was not worth the risk at the end of the day. But hindsight is 2020, unlike my vision. So, Silly and Strong now going to be evening of the series at one apiece, gives Munich Esports the map pick. We are going to go to a quick break, let the teams get back together and figure out where Munich are sending us for hybrid.
Control and escort trade between the two teams as somehow, some way, all of Dorado was completed, but on the opposing side, you just did not see Munich even complete the first point. They were shut down after a quick re-engagement that this guy, Caster's cursed. It was his fault this time. Not mine. Jesse, by the way, is my co-caster. That's Twin Salty. I'm Time to Light. Welcome back to EMEA Overwatch Open Division Day 5, Day 6 tomorrow, and then playoff finals next weekend. Keep an eye on those as well, alongside NA later on today. But right now, we're in Europe and Middle East along with North Africa. What do you think in towards this game specifically? We saw somehow Dorado go convincingly in the favor of Cilia and Strong. Yeah, it was their map pick, but that extreme?
You don't expect that extreme of a result when you're playing the #1 overall seed. Like, it's a big shock, but I think Silly and Strong, they've showed that they are not a team to be pushed away. Munich so far this tournament have been able to basically kind of just push away every other team they've played. There's a reason why they're in this winners bracket, round 6. They've been winning, and even more winning. But now they have to adjust. For maybe the first time in this tournament, they have to adjust a little bit. They have to figure like, hey, we're actually not steamrolling these kids. We actually have to think and adapt, because Silly and Strong had a very good game plan, and they did it to perfection, with granted a little bit of mistakes coming out from Munich, but they capitalized on like any great team would. So now map pick back into the favor of Munich Esports. It's going to be high. It's going to be the one and only Kings Row. Not too much of a surprise. Scrims Row is where we're going to. With the, being in London, maybe that's where Munich, they want to take a trip over to the UK to, visit some friends over there. But we'll have to wait and see if the trip will actually go in their favor, or if they're going to be on the bad end of a 2-1 series lead entering Assault. I wonder a bit, because we haven't seen that much rush from either team. If we are going to see it, we're going to see more of the chaos comp that we've seen from both sides. But no matter what, I do think we have quite an intriguing map 3 for us ahead, Dan.
You said Munich and being in London, and I was really happy you said going over to the UK, because I was really concerned that you thought Munich was in the UK.
My geography is not that bad.
Yeah, well, all right. So North American, or specifically United States of America, Americans are stereotypically awful at geography. Ask any European ever.
That's
suck.
true.
Mine's relatively good. I have good flag knowledge and overall general spatial awareness. But I was really concerned when you said Munich and in London without adding a caveat to it. You finally did, but it was close, Jesse.
Hey,
I was going to have to math you for that one.
Hey, shout out The Amazing Race. Gotta learn my flags. And
so, well, into King's Row. What do you think? Who's this going? Into King's Row. Kandi's going to bring the Widow. This is an awkward position for Silly and Strong to be in, because they start off in the attack, which was good for them in the previous map, but they chose to start off in the attack. It was Munich Esports map pick, considering the fact that they just lost Dorado, and Silly and Strong decided, hey, let's start off in the attack just as we did back on Dorado. We'll see if it works out for them. Kandi decides to switch off the Widow on towards the Casti. I like the change. Don't take time off the clock when you really don't have to if you're not going to find a guaranteed opening pick. And it was really love finding the efficacy out of that Widow. The opening engagement will come through early, though, from Silly and Strong. They have to find these opening picks, and a good Maywall will force them to do so. Somehow the Rhine stays alive, but only for the time being. A defense matrix thrown through will force Silly and Strong back. The opening engagement, at least for the time being, goes their way, and a counter Maywall alongside the pin. They stun one another. The immortality field will keep one alive, but not forever, though. That should drop the Rhine. He's still alive, though. What?
Just not healing them consistently. The immortality field saves them as well, and Okandi can go huge.
He finds even more. That should just be the fight over. It is. What is that from Kandi? There's no way that's not play of the game. I'm calling it right now. Unless somebody hits like a 6-man Diva Bomb or Deadeye, that is a play of the game play right there. Kandi finds 5 kills, 2 of them to close it out in quick succession, and gives the entire team the point. In a minute and 30 seconds, he finds full ult charge. The Mei is very close to the Blizzard to create some space through the first choke point in the underpass themselves. Through the archways, they should go, and Jesse, what is that opening?
That opening, a huge amount of credit to Nut. Saves Melon right away. And so much focus fire is on them and Shira that they don't look at Condi. They go around the flank, around the statue, and they just go absolutely huge and get a few picks. And now 5 minutes left. Getting it held at this first archway, though, is Munich going to try and use these May walls to wall somebody off.
Sardonyx can get their Blizzard up as well. They can create so much space. The Deadeye put through. The Immortality Field's up. They do find one. Love was outside of the Immortality Field AoE and will fall because of it. The opening picks go their way, as will the closings. 3 kills already found. Looking to stagger the rest of the squad. Shoes does find one back the other way as Shiro will fall. But past that, it's nothing doing for the Munich defense, or in this case, the lack thereof.
They've, even on their map pick, they're getting thrown around right now, TTL. They have not been able to do much. Sardox has been able to win the May duel. They have that Blizzard online. It was a great speed high noon as well from Citrus and Connie to set that up. And now going to be the opposite side. Love trying to do the same thing, but the May wall is not going to let it happen.
And they completely avoid that line of sight as well. The point's not that far forward. Well, it is right next to Love, but they feel like they want to play with discipline. They have 3 ultimates available. Both teams do as well, with a 4th for both squads well on the way. Sound barriers for both, alongside everything to replicate one another. The Shatter finds one, the Blizzard thrown through. The Immortality Field will keep them alive for the time being, but not forever. They do not throw through that sound barrier quickly enough, and because of it, they will indeed fall. It's a canceled beat as he falls down. Munich are able to throw themselves through, cancel the beat with the Shatter, and win the fight to take even more time off the clock.
What great discipline, A, to not push in too far, as you said, when the speed high noon doesn't work, but also to play this corner spectacularly with the Shatter, canceling the sound barrier, and then eventually able to stabilize, and now they can finally hold where they want to. Yes, they're able to hold our archway, but that defense got blown away, and now a little bit of a split push. They still have this Blizzard, so does Cillian Strong, looking at Trust Me and Shira to try and eat one of these up.
Defense matrices trying to find as much efficacy as they can. It looks like the Diva who wields it will try and get the heck out of dodge. The Deadeye dedicated. I don't think it's going to find anything. No, when his time expires, it won't. A Venn diagram of blizzards as they're both thrown through, but the Deadeye finds one. A Diva Bomb on top of it will only take away the Immortality Field, but I say only. That will end the fight then and there. Citrus, the last one alive, he actually fell already. He's in the back line. There's no way to win this fight. They will continue to push this attack back as Cillian Strong just cannot win a gunfight, or in this case, any fight at all in the mid part of streets.
The big part of why they won the first 2 fights was that they allowed their DPS just to do whatever they needed to do. A lot of eggs in that basket. And Shira now going to be throwing the Diva Bomb pass, and the gamble's worth it.
The Shatter finds 2 as well. The damage onto one, the kill onto another. They will pin themselves forward just trying to find even more damage. They will even find kills over top of it. Diva will be demech'd and almost certainly staggered away. Shira, I don't even think is going to make it back to the spawn doors. No, they will. They'll switch out to a different hero, switch back to the Diva in order to get that mech back, but that will null and void all of their ult charge. That's a giant waste with just 100 seconds left.
Benefit is that they just used it that fight, so then you're going to lose maybe what, 10-15%. It's not going to be too big in the grand scheme of things. And now Ryochi going to be using that Amp Matrix very early, going to break this May wall, and just going to deny this push coming from Cillian Strong. Going to basically just take off 20 seconds. Cillian Strong know they can't push into it. Now that it's gone, they're going to figure out if they want to push in now with their own Amp Matrix from Nut.
Yeah, but the Blizzard's available for QQ5, along with a Deadeye from behind. Will that find anything? It seems like no. It does actually take out Melon. How does the only person with a shield die to the only thing that can be countered by a shield? How does that happen? The opening kill, and seemingly the only kill that matters, goes the way of Munich. They continue to push back Cillian Strong, who have not won a fight in 4 minutes.
It's because they tried to go for a fire strike, Dan. They tried to go for a cheeky fire strike at the end. Then he realized the skull was already over them, and they just get absolutely domed. And Munich now, as you said, they've been winning fights for almost 5 minutes straight. Cillian Strong have had completely no answers, and here's another isolation.
The Blizzard's available. It's thrown through. It does get
Cancel!
eaten, though. It's removed. It's actually canceled. It isn't even eaten. Who cares about cancellations when you can eat things for breakfast? It's already dinner time in the EU, and they continue to munch on Munich. Sardonyx does have to find something out of this. They have a Blizzard of their own, should they choose to push, but look how far back this point has been pushed, from 100 to just about 60 meters. They're looking to push this through, and yes, the amplification matrix on top of that immortality field will find what they need. The ground has been gained, but they just do not have the time on the clock. It's OT already. They have to win these fights.
They need to also not get too staggered here. They're at least dying on carts, so this cart's not moving the entire time these staggers are going through. There goes down 4, though, and it'll just be QQ5 and Shoes left at that back corner, and they need Anjay just to speed everybody in fast because they do not have a lot of time to mess with. This cart going to eventually get to where it was earlier, has another 15 to 20 meters to go with a self-destruct going to be sent in the back just to create some pressure, able to get Shoes as well, and I think that'll be it. This will be captured by Silly and Strong, even if they do lose a few members. So much pressure denies the recontest, and Silly and Strong still alive here in this push with a minute and 15 left, but with shots like that, going to deny this too much. They're going to have to back up and wait for the rest of the team to come back.
In the third point, you only get an extra 90 seconds on your time bank. That means every single fight that Silly and Strong lose is an extra 10 to 15% of their time bank gone, and that compounds in terms of percentages as time continues to dissipate. Melon throwing themselves forward, the Fire Strike dedicated, but they find very little out of it. They're struck down to about 300 HP, and they're looking to pin this through as well. Melon will fall. The opening again goes the way of Munich. They're pushing this attack back. The Blizzard is thrown through. It finds very little for the attack. It finds everything for the defense, as Munich will stay alive and force this to 2, maybe even 1 fight territory.
They deny the opportunity for Silly and Strong to have any time left if they do complete this. At this point, it is near impossible. If they do finish it, it will be in overtime, especially no DPS online, DPS ults online for Munich. You know, they're going to send the self-destruct. What a Maywall to cancel that out from Sardonyx. And that at least deny that opportunity from even coming to fruition, and now can push in with a Deadeye of their own.
The Deadeye, it actually doesn't find anything. They had skulls in 2 different players. Looking for anything they can, they'll find absolutely nothing. The Shatter's going to be available in a few seconds alongside that sound barrier. Both teams should throw in the sound barrier. That's exactly what happens. The Shatter should again later on. They cancel it for a second time. Choose will throw themselves through, but on low HP will be removed. Silly and Strong win yet another fight off the back of a canceled ultimate. That one may just win them this regulation point. They will continue to stagger out this point. Somehow the May was able to contest from inside of the room, and yes, Munich will be able to recontest, but just barely, and it will not be with the full effect of their team. 3 players, maybe even 4, try to contest as a team, sending themselves through. The Diva will contest with 0.5 meters remaining, but the amplification matrix amplifying every single bit of damage thrown through. Choose will die. Roast is dropped. It's the entirety of Munich shut down as Silly and Strong. They were on OT in second point in the middle of streets, yet are able to fully complete all of King's Row.
It doesn't matter how you get it done. You got it done, right? That's the way you have to think of it for Silly and Strong. They were getting bodied for a good 4 minutes during Streets phase. They couldn't get anything done no matter what they tried. Taking different routes, using different ult combinations, nothing worked. And eventually, they were able to push through. They were able to complete Streets phase. They were able to complete Final phase after a great canceled ult from the Shatter, canceling out the Somber after it happened to you just a little bit ago. It's just perfect. It doesn't matter how you get there. You got there, Silly and Strong, with no time left. But now you need to have a great defense. You had a fantastic defense, near perfect, on Dorado. Will you be able to do it here again? As they're just going to go right back to the rush. Same thing. No reason to change it up. Munich Esports probably going to do the same thing. Just love. Going to poke a little early with the Widow. Try and get an opening pick like they did last time on Dorado to open up the fight. This time, though, I have a feeling Silly and Strong will be able to see that coming as they're all, at least initially, setting up on the back high ground.
Love, if they don't find an opening in the first 5 seconds, they're immediately going to switch to the Cassidy and make it a mirror comp for both teams. Cillian and Strong waiting in the backline are going to try and stall this out, but Love is going to wait to peek around, try and bait out the swing. That's exactly what happens, but he misses the opening duel and has to back away. Almost fell to an icicle to the head. Was lucky it only hit his chest and was able to back away towards the spawn doors and switch out for that Cassidy. It's a mirror comp for the second round in a row as Munich need to initiate quickly. They need to capitalize off of what we saw from Cillian Strong. That's exactly what's going to happen, but a strong immortality field keeps the Cassidy alive, just barely at that. Kandi's able to back away with their life still well and truly intact. The Fire Strike built back up, but it's immediately eaten by the defense matrix and completely disallowed. A good Mei wall will force them back into the hotel and around the far side. There's no way for Cillian Strong to push back into this other than as a team. That's exactly what happens, but a Mei wall to relegate the Reinhardt out into the middle is just not good enough. And yes, Cillian Strong are contesting, but it's not finding enough damage. Both teams throwing in the amplification matrices as they both find damage, but they're both relegated by each other's Mei walls.
And just constant back forward, mirroring every single move from each other. Immortality field, though, is down from Ryochi, and that's going to force Munich to back up a little bit, not having that fail-safe in the back of their hands.
Oh, and Ryochi finishes off Kandi as well. That should be the fight over. You lose one, and now both players inside of the line. Your supports are down. Your DPS off the board. It's over. Munich will take first point, and they need to capitalize off of their now quickly gain Streets phase pressure. This is what we saw from Cillian Strong, just a little less extreme. They are pushing forward, and quickly so. They are spawn dooring first spawn for the defensive side. Already the immortality field used, and they drop Kandi early. This could be a fight win completely removed from the point itself, and understandably so. They are pushing into third point without making it through the archways.
They didn't want Cillian Strong to be able to hold at archways, which is understandable. They're going to make sure that they can't hold until this is final S curve. As Trust Me and company now going to be backing up a little bit. Have to give up a little bit of space with Ryochi, I believe, the one sitting on cart. So you only have that AoE healing from Anjay right now. They're going to play a little bit safe. Cillian Strong now able to come back up. Almost have the shot on line, but Chu's going to be waiting for it.
Batter's available. They can throw this in quickly. The Deadeye is utilized. It creates so much space for the defensive side to work with. They throw in a counter Diva Bomb to create space of their own. A strong freeze across and a stun, but it's not enough. They melee down Kandi as Triss will get that kill. The wall to relegate anything, but a Shatter drops QQ5 and chooses drop just the same. The Reinhardt with a double to create space back the other way and picks back the other way for the Cillian Strong defense. They bring themselves back into Streets just as we saw from Munich. Will it be 4 straight minutes of fight wins just as we saw on the opposing side?
It might be as exactly where Cillian Strong got held earlier on. In Munich, it seemed like they wanted to close everybody from Cillian Strong into the subway station, but Cillian Strong, they just got right off the tube waiting to go, and once they did, all guns were ablazing, and they were able to win that fight back, and now they have a few more ultimates at their disposal, even though we'll have to see if this Sombra actually lands from Anjay, or if it'll be another cancellation from somebody from Cillian Strong.
Stun's available should they try and use it. The Deadeye popped and the Mei wall to push them out in the open, but it doesn't find anything. It just takes down the shield, and with that, Choose dies. The Deadeye does actually demech Trist, who now will fall almost certainly at that, and does to a Fire Strike. That's already the fight gone. They're trying to over-aggress into the Streets as well. The Mei wall onto the QQ5 Mei as well. This is bad. This is so bad. They're able to Mei wall themselves back into spawn, but I'm getting some deja vu from the first round.
Very much so. Like, it's very similar now, the struggle that Munich are in. To where, yes, they're trying to rotate these ults, but they haven't been able to get too much done, and now they have to try and do a speed Deadeye of their own, maybe with the Ant Matrix that they have, but it's going to be in such an awkward position they can't really use it.
Oh, the Diva Ball actually doesn't find anything. And they eat the Blizzard as well. Triss is able to take out that ultimate, another canceled ultimate, but immediately the DMech comes through. Love is removed. Cillian and Strong are able to build off of their broken ultimates into now built ultimates. Yes, the Shatter finds very little, if anything at all, but that's more time off the clock, pushing Munich back as they continue to die in Streets.
QQ5, though, got split up, and that's going to be a huge stagger, where Chu's now getting walled off. They're probably not going to be able to survive. Yeah, the Immortality Field's even going to be forced out. That's a win in of itself, but these staggers are just the icing on the cake. As, yeah, QQ5, they get found out. They get pounced on by Cillian Strong, and now, as you said, it's very much deja vu for Munich Esports, exactly what they were doing in the previous round is getting done to them. They've been stuck here for 3.5 minutes, and now have both DPS salts ready to go. They got to get something again from this blue. Cannot get eaten up by Shira, and also could be a huge sound barrier from Citrus if they need to use it.
A flank amplification matrix is a surprising one to say the least. It doesn't find anything, if anything at all. Choose is going to throw in their shatter. It's denied by the wall on the opposing side. The Rhine, however, is frozen straight inside of the blizzard. It's a little too chilly to stay in there, my friend, and you'll die because of it, not of anything near what you'd usually see, that being frostbite or even hypothermia. They just die to lethality, as Munich will finally win a fight. It's off the back of an ultimate, and they will be able to capture second point with time on the clock, assuming there's no recontest coming through. And we haven't seen Munich push as a team forward into the third point. They will be able to recontest on the Cillian strong side. A shatter finds very little, if anything at all. The sound barrier is finally utilized properly on the Munich attack. The Deadeye, it finds absolutely nothing, considering the Mei wall is dedicated, and it's a good one at that. They do demech the D.Va, but the D.Va bomb is thrown through. It finds two as well with the blizzard past that. Cillian strong, we thought they were going to allow the second point capture. They allow anything but, as they will recontest and bring it to one fight territory.
It was a perfect absorption of the aggression from Munich initially there. The sound barrier in from Cillian strong. They use the blizzard to counter. They get the picks. And then near the end, it's like, all right, last second stall. Milling gets the shatter down. It lands 3. They don't get many eliminations from it, but it draws out the attention. It allows the immortality field to go through, and the self-destruct finishes it off.
But they touch. That's the most important part. Are they able to stick here, though? As overtime will continue to tick away. They find one on a QQ5. That's a massive opening. That's a lot of your damage off the board. They're also able to demech Triss. That should be the game, especially considering the lack of damage, the lack of health remaining, and now the lack of a shield. The shatter lands. It will not matter. Cillian strong turn back what was an awful showing on Ilios. They were able to bring it for one round. They turn it back on Dorado. They complete Dorado. They complete what was now King's Row and make it 2-1 in their favor up against the number 1 seeded Munich Esports.
And you were right. Here we go.
I
Play
called
the
it.
game
Let's
with
go.
Kandi going absolutely insane. And what you don't see, they got even a pick before that. But just
gross.
Cillian strong. They're showing everybody that, hey, upset alert. Be ready. Even though these teams, again, both in contenders, locked in already. They're playing quite well, and they're showing up against former Sheer Cold players, against a former Shoes Money Crew player. They're doing very well so far, and a lot of that is on the DPS line. But also, shout out to Nut. Maybe, again, supports don't get enough love, it seems like. How many immortality fields have we had today that it either saves somebody from Cillian strong? How many MHs have we seen that gets a ton of value, whether it be spacing or damage? The healing's always been there. There's times that I have no idea how the tanks are even alive for Cillian strong, and yet Nut is just keeping them up. It is such a great job from them so far. And now Munich, they're stuck in such an awkward position. Because now you gotta figure out, do you go Anubis? Do you go Volskaya, Hanamura? I'm gonna guess Anubis, seeing that maybe
Can
the
they just go
rush
New
isn't
Queen Street?
exactly what they need to. We can't go to
we
New
not-
Queen Street. As much as I want to go to New Queen Street, we cannot go to New Queen Street.
For all of you
I
wondering,
wish.
that's a push map on Overwatch 2. We're not in Overwatch 2 just yet. But you were talking about the immortality fields, and one thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that they were so consistent at that. Kandi was able to stay alive multiple times. I can even count off the top of my head how many times he was able to stay alive, both in streets and on the first point on the attacking and defensive sides, off the back of those immortality fields. And you talk about it, the amplification matrix, those were nuts. You also saw the Lucios find the sound barriers on both sides, but they were also denied. It was good counterplay on both sides, but we have a fourth map for you. We head to Assault as our fourth map into this one. We also head to Volskaya. This was our prediction into the previous series. I'm a little surprised we're seeing it here. I actually would have expected Temple of Anubis into this one, especially considering Munich Esports overall comp.
Yeah, because it feels like, at least in my opinion, that benefits that Chaos comp they look so comfortable on the most. If not Hanamura, Volskaya is probably the bottom of my list in that regard. Maybe there's something that we haven't seen yet that they want to try and show us. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think a position they even thought they were going to be in today anyway. Like, I don't think they thought going to map 4, like, all right, if we go to map 4, maybe we're 2-1 up, maybe, maybe like control go because Control is such like a great equalizer. It's such a different game mode than everything else. But instead they're down 1-2 on the brink of getting sent to the lower bracket by Silly and Strong. So maybe something different's gonna show up. Something obviously that they've practiced a lot. And I want to be able to see them shut down the DPS line, especially Kandi, because they've been ridiculous. Like they've been absolutely ridiculous in shutting down everything Munich has been able to try and do. And honestly, the communication for Silly and Strong has been superb. It's honestly been better than Munich at times, which is so weird to say when you have a team like Munich Esports who won the Creator Cup, the second one, just a bit ago. And Silly and Strong seem, at least on paper, we don't know a ton about this team, sadly, but at least on paper, seems like a team that more came together as more recent to try and have an OD run.
I'm a little surprised to see the coordination much more consistent from Silly and Strong as well. We were talking about that being a real selling point for Munich Esports at the beginning of this, considering we've seen them prior in the open division bracket, and the fact that Silly and Strong are such a lower seeded team. It's 1 versus 24 for all of you wondering, and Munich are the 1 seed coming into this. Now, seeding was done a little bit more of a different way compared to what we've seen before, and especially in open division, it's so difficult to consistently seed teams unless they've directly played against one another. That's one notion that's always so challenging. But Silly and Strong are making it a little less challenging, possibly into next season, and especially into contenders, as they have qualified. It's now just a matter of whether they can drop Munich in this situation and push themselves even further into this bracket.
Double shield is going to be going all the way around the left side. They know somebody's behind them, but they haven't figured out quite yet, as Munich is on that Chaos comp that they're ever so comfortable on. But just still poking away, not going to get too much done quite yet. And now going to slowly make their way to point, even though they're getting poked from all different angles.
I love that from Munich. They prep the hack before the pile drive comes through, but Chu still dies in the pile drive animation. QQ5 continuing to do damage, but they have the double shield in the close room, trying to take the point quickly and capitalize off of their close range engagements. That's exactly what we're seeing. We are not seeing the contest there from Munich either. It finally does come through, but the DMEC is immediately followed. They do not have any opportunity to recontest here on the defensive side. Yes, Chu's will come back into these fights, but should be taken away immediately. It's exactly what happens. Both tanks are down. Munich have absolutely no staying power in this first point. The capitalization off of their early engagements is there from Silly and Strong, and Munich collapse because of it.
What a perfect game plan from Silly and Strong. Honestly, they go all the way around. They know,
good.
all right, if they're going to be running this comp, we can just go high, bunker down in the little mini room right next to point, so nobody can touch us. And even when QQ5, who was on the trace at that point, tried to throw the pulse in, gets shielded away by Shira, just gets absolutely denied, and they're able to slowly chip away at the members of Munich Esports. Now they kind of go over to the Orisa to try and at least a little bit farther range and a little bit more protection for that backline that honestly didn't need too much early on, but didn't get much done either.
They still have that Deadeye being built up on the attacking side. Should the EMP be utilized quickly enough, they can build off of that back into control. But Silly and Strong have the ultimate advantage. They also have a lot of real estate to work with. Should the Trance also find any efficacy, they can build off of that. They should have to dedicate the Trance. That's exactly what happens. The Dragon Strike baits that out, and Love is dropped in the backline. They do put through the EMP, and yes, it finds something, but they're immediately taken away. It's not really going to matter, though. As much as I built it up, it meant very little, unfortunately, for the Silly and Strong side. Munich Esports are able to bring that back and finally solidify themselves on the defensive side and slow things down at the very least.
And now they can change over to a little bit of a different comp that kind of matches what they're running the tank line a little bit more. Have Ryochi back onto the Baptiste for a little more healing output, not as much single fire or single pressure from the Zenyatta. And then Love also on this Widow, which worries me a little bit because they didn't get a whole lot done on Dorado, to be honest. And we'll have to see if they can maybe change the fortune of that history now.
Deadeye actually doesn't find anything, and they remove the bongos as well, using that quick fire on the Hanzo. Dedication thrown through, and the Diva Bomb dedicated just the same. It will be caught up by the shields and removed. They are not able to remech. That could collapse this defensive side. The grab drops QQ5. All the damage is gone. All the staying power is gone. The attacking side will almost certainly be able to fully contest and secure. They'll try and recontest. It'll happen for a few seconds. Past that, nothing more. Silly and Strong, with so much time left on that clock, 3 minutes and 37 seconds, are able to fully complete Volskaya. For the third time in a row, they start off on the attacking side, and they fully complete their attacking half.
And now for Munich, like, all right, can you get the offense going fully for the first time today? That is the worry because Cillian Strong has had your number a lot of the times when they are on the attack. And again, Cillian Strong, what perfect game plans. Like, honestly, every time, whoever their fight planner is a genius right now. The first phase, hiding underneath in the bunker, was great. And that time around, like, all right, we know they're going to have a few ultimates. We use the Dragon Strike early. You force out the Immortality field. Then we're going to see what they use. They use Rally. They know they don't have the Sombra anymore, so they don't have to worry about getting hacked out of that Gravitic Flux. So as soon as the Dragon coming at them goes away, they can use the Gravitic Flux, finish up a few more of those kills, and slowly pick away at the last few members to have such a great time bank. And now, going back over to the double shield, no reason to go off of it when it worked just as well as it did on the offensive side. Munich gonna cave a little bit, gonna go to the double shield as well with Love on the Ashe. QQ5 on the Genji to try and put some pressure onto Sardox and Nut in the back line. Gonna have to stay away from Condi a little bit if you don't want to get flashed. But for Munich, it's do or die. We haven't seen this team this close to a loss in a very long time. We'll have to see if they can do it this time around as they walk out. And honestly, I'm not sure about the Love pick either on the Ashe. Yes, it's sufficient damage, but with no Mercy Pocket, it's going to be hard to actually confirm those finishing blows.
The issue they're also going to run into is the quick engagements. Yes, QQ5 is there for it, but they have to find longevity in damage. And with Cillian Strong's composition, that just is not a reality, especially considering Sardonyx is in the backline, taking away so much of this HP backline. Sardonyx continually peppering this attack, and they just cannot push off of it because of it. The Halt finds absolutely nothing, and they'll throw in the Storm Arrows as well, dedicating themselves and looking to find an opening pick. If Cillian Strong can find an opening pick, with the composition brought by Munich Esports, it just will not allow them to stay on this point. Yes, they're able to stick here for a few seconds, and finally they find an opening duel. Shiro will fall, down goes that Sigma, and QQ5 needs to find another. It's just not going to happen. Nut is able to take away, but they are able to get to 2 points secured on this first capture point.
And honestly, for the first fight, it's not that bad of an investment either. Everybody's stuck in this small room, so you gotta wonder if they're trying to disengage. No, it's the surprise. Oh, there you go. Welcome home. For God. And all of a sudden, Cillian Strong, they're all getting sent back to spawn. And we couldn't tell initially. Munich like, all right, we're gonna try and see and wait for reinforcements, or if they're gonna try and fully commit to this. All of a sudden, as soon as Strong tried to converge to them onto the bunker, Munich able to put down the amplification matrix, takes down 4 within a second, and now can start their point B push with Blade intact.
They'll throw it in as well. Actually, they wait. They use the dash. Now they finally will dedicate the blade. It doesn't find the first kill, though. They finally refresh the dash and look for a second. It will find that. Not a third, though. Surprisingly, Ashe stays alive, only for the time being. The final right click, it doesn't land. How is Ashe still alive? I don't think it really is not going to matter. The grab is thrown through. Shiro will contest, but only for the time being. This is a similar situation than what we saw for the Cillian Strong attack, where they will be able to touch for a few seconds, but they're immediately removed. An even better time bank coming through from Munich, but everybody will have their time banks ticked down. 3 minutes and 15 seconds from, give or take, 4 minutes and 40. On the other side, it's 3:37, dropped down to 2 even, as Munich take control right back the other way, ironically, on an assault map.
Yeah, as finally we can see the offense from Munich shine. Like, we've been waiting for, I know that I'm not going to even comment on the jokes you're trying to make today. As, can you tell it's early?
It's 1 o'clock now. Did you know that? It is 1 p.m.
Actually?
Well,
For
on the
you,
East Coast.
it's noon for me.
Yeah.
But honestly, Munich, they've looked so much better this round than they have in a long time. As now with the, as weird as it say for the Genji to be working as well as it is, it worked quite well. And now Cillian Strong have to go back on the offense with 1 minute and 15 less than their opposition. They're teasing the Symmetra right now, Dan, and I like the look of that. Maybe teleporting on top of the bunker, or going all the way around to try and either, actually, 3 ways. They can teleport on the bunker, then go all the way over to that attacking left side to go over to this high ground that you can see on your right, or they're going to go through main, go up to that top right high ground, and teleport to the other side. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Or they're going to do just none, and they're just going to teleport over to the building out to main to make sure nobody's flanking.
Quick play through from Silly, but Munich Esports are setting themselves up for quick aggression should Silly try the exact same thing they did on their previous attack. That was trying to get into the small room right next to point and play quickly outside of it. Munich would set themselves up for aggression utilizing QQ5 and the Immortality Field should they choose to do so. It would be an outstanding position for them to lock down. The second of 4 possible teleporters are thrown through, at least 4 considering the time. But Silly and Strong just need to push this quickly, and finally are, but Munich Esports are in a good position to lock this down. Ryochi already had their Immortality Field gone. That's not a good position for Munich to be in, considering Choose is already off the board. Ryochi soon to follow. That should consider all of them gone, but both of the DPS players are still up, and they're looking to contest this point as Silly and Strong finally start to capture.
Not at quite a tick yet, as they're just hiding underneath this bunker, trying to wait for the teleporter to come back online so they can dive under the high ground. It's exactly what they do. When it gets some pressure, forces out the gravitic flux from Trust Me, and they do late it, actually able to get 2.
It finds 2, but it's immediately turned back. Shira gets the melee kill across onto Trust, who is dropped. QQ5 has the blade available should they choose to use it, and they may go up and over in order to do just that. QQ5 setting it up. Can they use it? 30 seconds left. This would force final fight territory should they get the kills out of it, but they'll just wait. They'll wait until the final fight. This is a single fight between Silly and Strong and possibly a 5th map, considering Munich Esports time bank.
It was a very late death for Silly and Strong, a very late reset. You know, yes, they have the teleport to try and get out a little bit faster, but you worry about time. They're not going to have enough time to fully make a game plan. They just need to get somebody onto the point and try and make it work from there.
Photon Berry is available. They will throw that through, create a virtual wall in between one team and the other, utilizing it in favor of the team that put it down. Silly and Strong playing their abilities to perfection, but the blade is still available, and they will utilize it. Forced up into the air, though, QQ5 won't even find a kill off of it, not even damage past that. Bob is dedicated, but the Blizzard on point will create so much space. Silly and Strong leaving just Love up on the high ground, trying to find the damage through, and uses the dynamite to do just that. That could turn the fight back the other way. The amplification matrix thrown through as well. There's a second kill for Love. They're able to turn this back. Munich Esports had the staying power to shut down Silly and Strong's attempt. They will make it to 1 tick plus a second half at the second, but nothing past that as Silly and Strong are shut down their attacking side. No way to duplicate their first round success.
Munich finally have had some answers, and consistent answers at that. And you know, yes, the QQ5 blade, it got nothing. Let's be real. It got shut down by the Symmetra turrets hard. So by the time they actually hit the ground for a first swipe, they're at 20 health in one little swing or one little shot, and they're done. But the big thing there was the backline staying alive. They knew that, yeah, we can give up a tick. It's fine. Because they can throw in Bob, have them contest. The shatter goes down, most of them stay up, or at least don't die, and then they come back with the Amp Matrix, with so much damage getting pumped out. And at that point, Silly and Strong out of resources, they're out of shield, and they're out of time. So now 54% on that point for Silly and Strong. They have a lot of work to do as they have to sit here for 3.25 minutes and basically full hold Munich Esports if they do not want to go back to control for a map 5.
I like what Munich are doing. They are figuring out what is working and sticking with it. Anjay is going back to the Brigitte. You're seeing Ryochi back on that Baptiste. Notably, QQ5 on the Genji. Yes, the blade found absolutely nothing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm a little hungry. I may eat my own point. But QQ5 was able to consistently put damage through with the shurikens and was able to push that forward. Love just sent their own dynamite sky high. That found absolutely nothing, by the way. I just wanted to highlight that super quickly because that's still a notable position. On the other side, Kandi is able to take down Anjay, and that's a lot of time off the clock. That's already 35 seconds off the board, considering just a single pick.
The big difference here with Silly and Strong this time, they have Citrus over onto the Mercy to pocket Kandi. They're going to try and build up Bob as quickly as possible, just output so much damage with this power boosted dynamite and shots for that potential one-shot onto the squishies of Munich. And so far, it's been able to work. It's just 1, 2, there you go. Love, have fun at home.
He's working on his skeet shooting, just with more precise weaponry than 12-gauge shotguns, a good halt to force them all back a little bit. And you're continually seeing damage put through from the Cillian strong defense that just cannot be met by Munich, but the amplification matrix may allow them to do just that. The Bob, fully dedicated, considering the fact that it was built up early off the back of that damage amplification, considering the Mercy pocket. The Holt finds nothing, and damage is continually being put through on either side, but Cillian strong, with this composition, have the ability to stick on the point and lock themselves through, but not long enough. Finally, a kill goes the Munich Esport way, but is immediately traded back the other way as the pulse bombs built up and utilized to perfection, and you see the teleport away. You cannot see Munich win one of these fights, but they will reach a first tick.
They will get that tick. Bongos is down, still winnable somehow for Munich. Both tanks still alive, able to get 1 kill each. It's slowly just them and a Tracer and a Bongo sitting there 1v1. Who is going to be able to do it? The Dynamite's there as well. Pulse Bomb going to get nothing, going to get blocked by the shield. Reinforcements are not going to be back in time.
No,
as Munich survive, and they will force us to a map 5.
This is not a reverse sweep like we saw in the previous series. Munich did win Ilios, but they were immediately dropped on both of the maps that required a moving target. Those were Dorado and King's Row. Love with play of the game here, understandably so, through the amplification matrix. This was back in round number 2 of the series. You saw efficiency out of the Munich side. That was brought through specifically by Love. That's exactly what we needed to see out of the DPS line from Munich, because it basically didn't exist in the previous 2 maps. It was somewhat negligible in King's Row. It was fairly vacant on Dorado.
I'm trying to comprehend how Munich win that fight. And I think
I know, right? I was like, what?
The picks were going back and forth. At one point, I'm like, all right, it's looking good for them until the pulse bomb hit. And then I worried a little bit for them. Like, all right, maybe Cillian strong, able to finish this off and at least hold on for a little bit longer. I still think Munich had the edge in the overall point, but I didn't think they were going to win it quite yet. But they do. They're able to clutch it out. The Sigma, trust me, hey, we trusted you, and you got them the map. We are going to go to Lijiang for map 5.
Again?
Not too much of a shock. It seems to be everybody's favorite map. It seems like it is the King's Row of Control. And we will be seeing, I'm going to guess, some Chaos comp coming out on Gardens. Maybe some on Night Market as well. We could see some normal Rush / Brawl comps going on there. Control Center, you're going to get the normal Rhine Diva Rush. So I guess, Dan, I'm going to throw it back at you. Predictions for map 5.
I predict a 3rd round. That is my prediction, because
I want you to pick a team.
Okay, so let's break this down round by round. So Night Market probably goes the way of Munich, just at face value, considering what they've brought between Volskaya and back on Ilios. They looked good on more open control point maps. Now, bringing that through into Control Center, that also should mean Silly will be able to bring things back and make it 1-1. The 3rd point, assuming it is the 3rd point, would be Gardens. That one goes either way. If we see Gardens as a 3rd point, I'm not only getting deja vu from our first series, but I can't give you a concrete prediction. If Gardens is first, that leaves it up in the air as to what the 2nd point would be, as to who would win. It would basically depend on who wins first point, given Gardens would be in the first 2.
I think Cillian Strong has a chance here, because the best Gardens comp, in my opinion, is the 6-man zombie comp, and that we've seen them run a bunch today. We haven't seen Munich run at all. So it makes you think, like, is this actually a possibility for Cillian Strong to pull off this upset? And I do think it is a legit option for them to, try and win this game. The thing is, right, it's going to be reliant on if the backline, which backline can stay alive longer. Especially, I'm looking at the flex supports for both teams, and which hit scan is going to get more done. Because Condi was admittedly kind of quiet on Volskaya for Cillian Strong. We didn't say their name too much. Yes, they got a few picks on the Ash, but they didn't get enough to kind of push them over the edge. And when Condi's not having a great round, it seems like Cillian Strong struggle a little bit when they're focusing on those long-range poke comps. So now when we go back, maybe into more of a brawl comp, maybe more into that 6-man zombie comp, you wonder if Condi's going to fade away a little bit more, and the tank line, especially for Cillian Strong, maybe needs to step up a little bit, because it seems like they've got outclassed a few times today.
Some brief information as to why the heck we're still talking and the game hasn't started yet. We did have somebody's Discord crash alongside a game crash, so there's a little bit of a technical delay, but you get to see our faces, so I think you win out of this engagement. But we've been looking at how these rounds specifically have been breaking down, how the maps as well prior have been brought through. It's Control Center from what is this
I can't
point?
tell quite yet.
Considering spawn, I think all the spawn rooms are the same on Lishan. I don't really analyze spawn rooms. We'll see. It is
It's
Control Center. I was right. Look at me.
There you go.
I'm so cool.
Well, so we're gonna see the normal rush TP out of spawn. Maybe gonna continue it on when they try and gain control of White Room and maybe even the server room, but not normally. As you can see, it is gonna be Munich TPing out. Cillian Storm presumably doing the same thing as both teams rush over to White Room.
And the wall's already dedicated. At least QQ5 says he switches to the Mei. A first look at the Mei from QQ5 finds an opening kill. Down goes Condi. Not a good opener for the Cillian Strong half, considering they lose their primary DPS along with their main tank. That should collapse the entirety of the fight, considering the amount of damage thrown through. Will that snipe land? No, it does not, but it's still damage, and it will still be a first point contest and capture for Munich.
Even though there was a Lucio battle going outside, Citrus is able to win, and now all the speed is gone from Munich as
No
Cillian
way.
Strong try and push in.
The 1v1 goes their way. That may turn the 6v6 in their favor as well. The Amplification Matrix utilized early alongside that Photon Barrier, and they're able to push this entire Cillian Strong defense, or in this case, attack, back. You expected them to initiate quickly. In this case, it doesn't happen. Overutilization of ultimates, though, could cost them in the long run.
Yeah, having to use two ultimates there, not going to have as much as you would like, even though trying to get some value out of the shadow. The own Mei wall going to deny some, but Love's still going to get caught out as no shield pressure now going to be on Melon. Oh, the
Condi
TP shatter!
They are able to put it through, but they don't find enough out of it. That's the issue. Choose is able to push that through. They find the damage, just not the kills. The pin coming through. There's the Blizzard to allow them to push through. They will find absolutely nothing on the attacking side. Cillian Strong are shut down again. This time, it's not overutilization of ultimates. It's proper utilization of ultimates. That's the main difference. That's why Munich were so successful in that fight.
And the TP as well to throw them off a little bit. They probably think, oh, it's in spawn, but no, they pop it up right there. It's going to be Choose teleports into the back, able to land that shatter down, and throws off the entire Cillian Strong attack, who have not been able to use any of their DPS or tank ultimates so far. They've had to use both of their support ultimates once, but have ended up with nothing back to the table. So now, 76% and counting. Can they get something done this time around?
Photon Barrier utilized, but the wall to neglect any push coming through. The Shatter utilized straight through the Amplification Matrix, no less, but they don't find the kills. The Sound Barrier on the opposing side hasn't even been utilized, and they still are alive. They are not able to push this one through. The Diva Bomb can be utilized should they try to do so. That's exactly what happens, but on the Munich Esports side, finally the Sound Barrier is dedicated, and it's straight into the Blizzard, but Love is stuck. Should fall in the same right, but isn't. That will do it. That should do it on this first round. Control Center goes the way of Munich. Cillian Strong are shut down in close range engagements. I thought Cillian Strong were to pick up Control Center. It's the opposing side to pull it through as they pick up the first round.
QQ5 just had such better Mei play. Honestly, the amount of walls that set up engagements for Munich was absolutely insane. So now for Munich, you wonder what's going to happen next, as it will be, I don't know. Do we know, producer? Do we know what round we're going to for round 2? We don't know quite yet. We don't know quite yet. Oh, we'll find out in a second. It is going to be Night Market. There we go. So again, both teams going to be running the exact same thing, going to try and teleport above point. So now you got to think in favor of Munich because of the way they were able to win Control Center.
You'd expect, but you never really know, considering I thought Silly and Strong were able to pick up control, considering their overall composition and the way they were able to build off of that in those second and third maps. That just was not the case. First fight needs to go the way of Silly and Strong for them to build into this map and into this point specifically. Choose, waiting in the back line, struck down to about 300 HP, but the healing is still there, and they're able to build up ult charge on their supports in order to build them back into these fights. The Amplification Matrix already up at 60
60% should they try to use it early on, but there's no way for Silly and Strong to contest early. They have no opening engagement utility nor abilities as they have no initiation. Munich already at 10%. Finally, you'll see them start to push through as the amplification matrix is dedicated, but the Mei will already put through to deny that, and the pin onto Mullen will almost certainly push them back.
And we're telling Field, though, is going to be forcing their own
No way.
inmates who's going to finish off that fight. And already going to be 25% counting gone for Munich Esports as they're able to push and get a few staggers in as well. And Silly and Strong, I think they elected to try and teleport out of spawn instead of straight above point, and it cost them. They have no sort of initiation due to Munich Esports getting there faster, and they didn't even try and teleport behind like I thought they could have. And now they're in this position with already half of the percent that Munich needs on the table, and Silly and Strong have honestly had no answers, but they do have 4 ultimates on the line, but so does Munich.
Going to be an ultimate fest, a creation of chaos. Both photon barriers utilized. It's going to be a Venn diagram of blizzards as well, should both teams choose to use theirs at that same right. Sardonyx and QQ5 both can use them should they want to, but Condi throwing in their photon barrier early, they don't build off of it. A good sound barrier alongside a shatter as well, but the blizzards creating that Venn diagram, but QQ5 not throwing his in, that should do it on the fight. Silly and Strong already giving up 80%, but finally winning a fight back the other way. Yes, a Diva Bomb's thrown through, it finds very little, if anything at all. Trust will be able to get back into the mech and boost themselves back onto the point to continue to deny this push through, but they're frozen and pushed off of it. Silly and Strong should be able to capture eventually, question mark?
They should be able to, as there's a few more picks. I think it's just the stagger coming out, as there's a few members gone. But unless there's a miracle, Silly and Strong should at least be able to initially capture this. But they have a long hill to climb, 99-0, as the percentage starts to climb up for Silly and Strong. They had to use a lot. They also built up a good amount of those ultimates back online, with Condi already having that photon barrier ready to go. And now the issue for me to becomes, yes, you were so great at holding that point, but now the table is swapped around. You're gonna have to figure out a way to initiate against those sim turrets.
Apparently the answer is to just push straight through. The photon barrier already utilized, though, will not allow them to push in very easily. Blizzard onto the point to force the real estate in their favor, but the Fire Strike straight through that amplification matrix will give all the control to Silly and Strong. That should do it on the fight as well. It's just Trust Me and Love left over. They will Fire Strike straight into Love, who finally finds a kill across into Shira, who is demeched and will jump off. They will try to reset, but regardless, Silly and Strong still win the fight. You'll see Citrus go back and try and boost that Diva back in, but will Munich try to push before that happens? The answer seems to be yes. The Shatter's available should they try to use it early on. That's exactly what's going to happen. The Photon Barrier is available, and they throw in the Shatter, but it finds absolutely nothing straight through the shield. The Blizzard on the opposing side actually does not freeze them up, but the double boop over will shut them down. That may just do it, but they're still here on this defensive side. Melon and Shira the last alive. It's Melon left alone in a 1v3 to push back onto the point. Yes, the Diva Bomb finds one, but will find absolutely nothing past that. Gardens is not even required. Munich Esports pick up both Control Center and Night Market. They pick up Map 5 as well. The Gentleman's Sweep is not there, as Munich will shut it down in Map 5 and pick up Lijiang.
They survive, as the upset not getting anything does. Anjay, what a nice one. And the Somber as well to save the entirety of the team. What a call from Munich to be aggressive there. They know, all right, I think they saw Citrus go to try and get their Diva. And they're like, all right, hey, they're going to try and taxi. Even if we don't have everybody quite yet, it is a 5v4, and we have ults on the ready to go. Just push. So what a round, what a game. And that has them survive this match. Just wow. I don't know what else to say at this point. What a series from both of them. I would not want to play Silly and Strong in the lower bracket. I can tell you that much, Dan. I would not want to even get close to them, because wow, what a series from both sides. Well done.
It's an outstanding showing, and we have some results for you around the lower and upper brackets. Lower round 8 is what we covered on the day. We saw a very close win for Frog over top of AOT team, denying that reverse sweep. But past that, I'm going to read off some results for you. Deme's dad dropped space. They are out of the tournament. A bunch of vowels and consonants put together, not in any phonetical order, beat out V-Tile. You saw Prestige and Jealous drop Team Reality. Backbone 2704 were able to beat DaBaby Clan. Unfortunately, the rapper's now out of Open Division. And Mind Goblin was able to beat Don't Have Hal. That is not grammatically correct, but they still were able to pick up the victory.
And then over on the winners bracket side, now we know every single of the 4 results. Munich deny the gentleman's tweet from Still and Strong. They win 3-2. Goats beats Frost Tails in the 21 versus 20 seed match. It'll be Goats versus Munich in that upper bracket semifinal. Marigo beats Team Peps, and they'll move on to that winner semi as the number 1 3 seed. And the number 2 seed gets bounced. Equal Friend, they take down the number 2 seed SR Peak Check, and they will try and continue their Cinderella run in that upper bracket as they go against Marigo, as I just said, in that upper bracket semi. But we have what a fantastic lineup that we have for day 6 of EMEA. But that is it for us today, at least for our NA production 2 doing EMEA. Just what a game. Make sure you stay in tune for NA later today. Should be some great games. Same rounds. Upper bracket round 6, lower bracket round 8. But from the entire staff today, Kothar, Hippie, myself, Time to Light. Thank you guys for watching and have a great weekend. See you guys later.